Ladies and gentlemen, it is my esteemed pleasure to all of you at home broadcast who I have in the studio today for this very important interview. Today, I will be interviewing Xbox Series X. A quick refresher for those not in the know, the group is a group of 12 Xbox gamers I played online with throughout most of my adolescence, and I played with every day, most of which I have never actually met in real life. Until recently. We shared one big Minecraft world, we ran around GTA 5 together as a gang, we laughed through the night in Jackbox games, compared our Fallout 4 saves, and played a bunch of forgotten Xbox Live Arcade games, most of which aren't listed anymore. Last time we left off, we were fully in the GTA 5 of things. We had finished off all the heists, gotten all our high-end apartments, and we're playing around in the snow in Los Santos. Technically, the first thing I did on Xbox in 2016 is edit together the group Best of 2015 video, which is the reason I have so many memories of the clips. And because of this epic funny moments compilation, I always filed all my memories of all this stuff under 2015. I'm like, oh, it all happened in 2015. But upon further inspection, a lot of stuff happened in 2016. 2016, the year people on the internet think was the last great year because it's the year they graduated high school. The Best of 2015 video was made just for me and my friends in the group, but by looking at it, you could tell how clearly we were inspired, or I was inspired, by other YouTube groups at the time. The editing style is very heavily inspired by the Vanoss crew, and a lot of the stuff we did in the videos, the bits, were taken directly from the creatures. The rest of the crew didn't know that. I don't think they watched them, so as far as they know, I came up with them, so rude awakening. YouTubers had a huge impact on what I chose to play with my friends, and even what I chose to play by myself. After releasing the first Xbox video, I got to sit there and slowly realize I got some information wrong. I realized it right after I uploaded it. I went through all my purchases and had this screenshot from the purchase, and the game was titled NTTE, which I writ in my script, and then maybe it autocorrected as night, or maybe I read it as night, and I only noticed that it was NTTE while I was editing, and by that time it was already too late. NTTE is an acronym for No Time to Explain, an indie platformer which I first found while watching a Steam Train video, and that's why I bought it. Like I said, YouTubers controlled what I played. Talk about an influencer. But that's enough about Game Grumps. I don't want to have to talk about them ever again. We're in 2016 now, and according to my purchase history, the first purchase I made on Xbox in 2016 was another wall! A game I bought because my Gooba. But also because it was on sale. It's important that you know that I did not pay full price, but it's on Game Pass now, I think, so never get those $10 back. We still loved GTA 5 and Minecraft, and just know throughout this entire timeline, we're still playing it actively in the background. We're just in the old server I already talked about. So whenever I'm not talking about Minecraft or GTA, just know that we are still playing it. We didn't stop in 2016. I remember starting the town world in 2015, but that doesn't mean we exclusively played it in 2015. It's actually pretty likely we played it for a couple years. There will be other worlds, and we're gonna get into it. But aside from those, I feel like I needed to find the next big thing. I mean, I'm the one who said we should all get Project Spark and hashtag IDAR, but I was right? That's arguable. There was also a game I missed last time titled How to Survive, and we played it all the time, and I have to assume it was free because it's not in the purchase history, and if we all had it, there's no way we all would have paid for that game. Not that it was terrible, it was fine, it just doesn't seem worth buying. That being said, it was a multiplayer game that we could all play together and share progress on. I remember playing it, but there's no video footage and no purchase history, so let's say played it 2015. We were console gamers, but even back then, so many games have remote play now, and of course Parsec exists, but back then, if everyone wanted to play the game, everyone had to own it. Chivalry! At the end of January, I purchased a game called Chivalry. Chivalry is basically a first-person shooter game, except it's all melee weapons, and it's all about that combat. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I really do not mesh with first-person shooters. There's no, like, personal vendetta I have against them. I just don't really like how they control. So while I was playing with the group for every Minecraft and GTA I was playing, there was a Destiny and Call of Duty I was not. But I've always been way more into melee anyway. When I would go over to the Call of Duty's house to play Call of Duty or Halo, I would use the knife or whatever the plasma sword is in Halo. I did also make an entire GTA deathmatch around golf clubs. Chivalry was fun for a bit, and I was decently good at it. But what fun is a multiplayer game if you can't play it with the bros? I think maybe one other member had the game, but we could do so much more. I had to keep trying. My only memory of Chivalry really is that my buddy Chris, former The Boy, Chris came over and we were 1v1ing this one guy in Chivalry, and he started DMing us, and he was very distressed, and we just kept messing with him.
Battleblock Theatre!
In March of 2016, I got Battleblock Theatre. Again, I had already gotten and beaten it on 360, but for reasons I can't remember, I didn't have access to my old account, so as far as I'm concerned, Khaki Chief 90 had to start from scratch. It was a fun co-op game with some 4-player modes in it, but like I said, we had already all played it. So I knew at least most of them had it, but they had already moved on. None of these games were bad, mind you. I fully enjoyed all of them, but playing online with your bros, with the group, it's a wholly different experience. I needed to find the perfect multiplayer game that could bridge the gap of our interest while also being big enough that all of us could play while being in a call together.
Rocket League!
Found it. If you haven't heard of it, it's soccer except with cars instead of British people. Well, by this point, there were a lot of members of the group. Most of the games we played are stuff I like to call squad games. Squad games is a type of online game where you play with a team comprised of solely 4 people. Even GTA 5, which is like a paragon of being able to play with everybody. The Heist and important missions exclusively were 4 players. Regardless, we had some good memories on Rocket League, but they were all in favor of the game. That sounds strange, but in GTA and Minecraft, I know I'm mentioning these two a lot, but they're like all-encompassing. We would kind of goof around and make our own stories. When it came to Rocket League, it was always tied into the game, so the moments we always had were either under the categories of, that was a cool shot I just made, or person is raging because we lost. Rocket League was a good way to kill time in a call while waiting for other people. Hey, the person's not here yet, they're running late, let's bump out a couple matches. I guess I wanted to find the next big multiplayer game because the big 2 were faltering. The group didn't want to play on the town world as much because it had reached its gradual ending point. There's only so much you can do in a Minecraft world before it starts becoming boring. What we needed was an update. That being said, I did play it every chance I got. I made a town hall, I made paths between all the properties, I made a Christmas village. Come to think of it, I don't think I finished any of them, so aside from the church, there's a ton of unfinished projects in that world. And this was not my server. It was saved on Logan's Xbox, so whenever I wanted to play, I was just at the mercy of whenever he wanted to play. Luckily for me, the only person that was as obsessed with Minecraft worlds as I was Logan. But even we knew it was getting time to wrap up the world. And GTA wasn't faring much better. Mind you, I still was interested in getting my rank up and getting every single war stock vehicle, and they occasionally added new adversary modes to keep people entertained a little bit. And we needed a big change if we were going to play this indefinitely. And remember, this was an online game. Updates happen. Do I have like a suit jacket where I can look more professional? This is something a business tycoon would wear, right? June 7th, 2016, we got the Further Adventures in Finance and Felony update. This update added the ability to become a CEO of a criminal organization. Of course, this came with a bunch of new vehicles and new missions, but the most important part, you could hire your friends. We had the OG Dump Squad before it. It was fun while it lasted, but today was the day. It's not today, so that doesn't make sense. That day was the day I would cement my legacy and created Inc. Incorporated. The Inc. organization claims to do a lot of things, but in reality exists solely for dumb enjoyment. Baby's first money laundering. I used the money I saved up during the heist. I didn't save that money. I spent it immediately. And then I bought an office to call our headquarters. If you've watched the previous video, and I gotta say, you really should watch the previous video, you will have noticed that all the stuff we did in GTA Online is not really like the intended stuff. Like, we weren't breaking the game or hacking, we were just making our own fun. If you become a CEO, you can invite your friends to become your associates. And while you get an RP bonus for remaining in their proximity, and you get a money bonus based on how long your boss stays alive, we were more interested in how friendly fire worked. If you were in a group or organization with someone, you could not kill or damage them, and you would think this only applies to weapons, but it does not. So you see, in GTA, the cause of death works off of what was the previous contact. So if you hit someone with a car, and then they fall off a building, and then hit the ground too hard, it will say that you ran them over. For this reason, if you are in an organization with another player, nothing you do can cause their death. You could throw explosives at them, launch them in the air, hit them with a car. Even when they hit the ground, they will not die. So, of course, We had to take advantage of the new meta. We immediately flocked to the top of the Ink building and immediately jumped off headfirst into helicopter propellers like lemmings. We started attempting the Cargo Bob Rodeo because we figured it's the best case to do it because it can't kill us. We can just get right back on. This clip is the one I distinctly remember yelling Xbox record that at the loudest I could, and my sister coming in and being like, what was the clip? What was so funny? It was just this, but you know, core memory. We were living the high life. I bought us an A-team vehicle that I wanted us to go on a road trip. We tried to drudge our way around the map while being chased by firefighters and angry pedestrians. I bought us a tugboat that we could fiddle with. I mentioned last time that everyone got very interested in boats, and by this point I was the supplier. I was grinding and saving up money and buying all these exorbitant things for the group to keep them entertained because I knew we were done with the heist and it was only a matter of time before we'd run out of things to do. I was getting desperate. I had built up this aura of being able to provide new and fun things, but I could only grind for so long. I was running out of funds and the business was about to go under. So, on June 14th, 2016, I bought 2 Megalodon shark cards of in-game currency, equaling a real-life amount $200. I wasn't proud of it, and I'll never get that money back, nor will I live it down, but I don't regret it. It was worth it, as long as everyone thinks the business is doing well and I'm financially stable. I can't go bankrupt. The Inc. organization needs to remain afloat for the good of its employees. I'll let $1 million die before I let this company go under. I finally folded and used real-life money in a game that I did not need to use it in. The worst part? This isn't the last time. Remember last time when I said the reason I got the new console was because I needed to transfer my save to keep all the memories around? It wasn't just the memories. It's also, you know, sunk costs. This is incredibly embarrassing, but fine. Let's move on. What did I even end up buying with this money? The OG Dump Squad fought on the golf course, chilled in our apartments, and goofed around in the military base. But now we got a luxury spot to call our own. We got Trash Boat. Now, let me get ahead of this before this gets out of hand. I bought and named this boat when I was 15. The Trash Boat name is an obvious homage to Regular Show. I also think the name is funny. What I'm more worried about is that the title reads Trash Boat Israel. You see, it gives you an option of a ton of flags for your yacht to be based in. And I had to pick one. I thought, well, I can't pick America because that's what I am, and that's not very funny. And the Canada joke is what I would have gone for normally, but that was already done. I racked my little teen brain for what would be the funniest thing to have my yacht based on without knowing anything about the actual place, and I landed on Israel, I guess. Just know that I thought the name and the flag looked funny. This isn't a political joke. I didn't know anything in 2016. I barely know anything now. Well, I mean, if Thunder Snow was one of the songs we picked for the Best of 2015 video, we picked a lot of meme songs. That means I would have been listening to Songify the News, so I would have been at least a very little bit politically literate. So people get really gatekeepy about certain YouTubers, like, I like them when they were cool, stuff like that. I watched Shmo Yoho a lot as a kid, like all these remixes, so I was so proud that when they made the Stranger Things remix, the Chrissy Wake Up thing, and everyone's using that song now, I was like, I watched these guys, Thunder Snow. But nothing to do with the actual Israel. I can't really explain why this is funny beyond it being lol random. I really need you guys to know this was not anti-Semitically motivated. Don't ever think that your past actions won't have consequences. They will, and we're gonna get more into edgy teen Andrew later. I am dreading it. Regardless of the name, we all hung out on this boat without any of them ever learning that I spent real funds on it until, I guess right now. Hi! A good mix of the friendly fire rules of the CEO organization and the mixture of the hot tub and helicopter right next to each other resulted in us making human soup all the time. Some things just never stop being fun. I'll be on my deathbed and one of my children will put GTA 5 in front of me and I'll immediately make a beeline and jump headfirst into a helicopter. And then they'll probably turn on the game.
Survival Evolved!
With most of these survival games, I think we're all gonna spend the same amount of time on the world, but when I'm hosting it, I tend to spend the most amount of time just because I have access to it. Only a couple of them had it. I would always jump into other people's random worlds just to see what was going on. One time I jumped into a world that seemed very eerie and there was a guy chasing me around, and every time he got close, because it's proximity mic, he had this ear-piercing noise coming from him and he would catch me every time. Horrifying. But in my own world, I spent all my time making a boat. Common theme, I like pirate iconography. If I still have the world, then you're seeing it now, and if not, then you're seeing an epic artist rendition of the awesome ship. I built it on the beach shore where I spawned, and I kept it there until I was for sure I could go out to sea. Because you still need food, water, shelter, and sleep, and I had all those things, but I needed to find a way to make them portable. So after months of preparing the SS Ooga Booga for its maiden voyage, I set off into the great unknown where a megalodon shark ate half of it and got me stranded on land. Yeah, I don't think I spawned back on the ship even though I slept there, so, you know, that boat's gone. The whole point of me telling you these stories is, for one, I think they're funny. But it's also here to give you a glimpse into my life at the time. It's strange that while doing this whole walk down memory lane, I haven't really mentioned what was actually happening in my life. You see, 2015, I was in 8th grade, a grade I do not remember at all. But 2016, going into 9th grade, freshman year of high school, a year I remember slightly more. I mentioned before that Logan and I had been best friends since birth, but before Xbox Live, we would only see each other like once a year. That's because every summer, mostly around June, our two families would go on vacation together with some other people. By this time around 2016, we brought the Call of Duty friend and his family and one of my friends from my theater friend group. I had the group and I have the boys, but in between those two, my friend group, I had Garbage Bomb. But the less said about that, the better. We had a group chat on a really shady app called Kick. I wanted everyone to get team names and get us like custom beanies because even before I was in a YouTuber group, I wanted my friend group to be a YouTuber group. Luckily for me, I found like-minded individuals senior year and we all got themed hats. Comes full circle. If you're in high school and stuff really sucks for you right now, I know you don't want to hear this because everyone in your life tells you this and you're like, oh, well, now the guy on YouTube is supposed to be escapism. Now he's lecturing me. The talking sponge is going to lecture us. I went off with a SpongeBob joke. My point is, it gets better. I know you don't want to hear that, and I know it's lame advice and everyone says that, but legitimately it does get better. What does this have to do with anything? Well, right before we left our swanky beach vacation, swanky, I've never said that before in my life, I purchased 2 new fun games we could play, and those games were
Quiplash and Drawful 2.
The group and some other friends had been using Fibbage as our primary source of comedy, even though the point of that game is to win. But in Quiplash, the way to win is to be funny. Before the vacation, I stopped over at Logan's house and talked with him and his sister. I was telling them about Quiplash and how excited I was for it, and eventually we went over to play. And one of the prompts was about an animal or an animal enclosure or something of the like, and one of them, still can't remember which one, said, "Hey, did you hear about that kid in the gorilla enclosure?" 2016 has some fond memories, but it's also full of, I mean, we made a lot of Harambe jokes. I promise you the world gets better. Every vacation we go on, we have a couple running jokes that reverberate through the stay. This year I actually managed to go, and the running jokes were incomprehensible. Saying things in the fanciest way possible, like "I'm quite famished" and other synonyms. We all watched the new season of Stranger Things together, and every time the villain appeared on screen, the subtitles read "wet squelching." We got a lot of mileage out of that one. Wet Squelcher. That's what we called him. We went out to dinner and tried to guess what the top 10 best-selling songs of all time were. And number 5, I think, the middle of the list, was "In the Summertime" by Mungo Jerry, a man we did not know existed. Go to that video on YouTube right now and go down the comment section, and you will see tons of people talking about this guy like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ, and also talking about how much their parents drink. Comedy goldmine. On the car ride down to the 2016 vacation, we were playing some kind of name game, and I was racking my brain trying to think of what the sequel of Lion King was called, and I just burst out, Lion King 2, Return of Jafar. So the entire trip, and even after that, anytime someone mentioned a sequel, the immediate subtitle would be Return of Jafar, even if it doesn't make any sense. Now that I've introduced you to comedy gold, feel free to use that joke. It's very funny. This is also the summer that Pokemon Go blew up, so we were all playing outside, running around trying to get stuff. I saw a crowd of people nearly get hit by a car to get a Snorlax. It would have been worth it. And that one, "I play Pokemon Go every day" song had come out at the time. I nailed that, by the way. And we were singing it the whole time, annoying everyone. Got stuck in everyone's heads. How is any of this relevant to your time on Xbox One? Well, that entire vacation while we were playing Quiplash, Lion King 2, Return of Jafar, Harambe, and I Play Pokemon Go were scattered throughout all of our Quiplash answers. Legitimately, all I remember doing on that vacation is occasionally going outside to do Pokemon Go stuff and then staying inside and playing Quiplash for hours. And if you played Quiplash before, then you know that once a running joke gets started, it's impossible to stop. And it didn't stop at the vacation. The group had played Fibbage before, but when we finally got Quiplash, it was over for sleeping normally. And we would stay up playing it for hours. I spent so much time trying to convince everyone to buy a game that we could all play together. Like, oh, this is the next big thing. You all need to buy this game. When in reality, the best selling point was just, you don't need to buy a game, all you need is a phone. Shit on Quiplash all you like, but the fact that I was the only person that owned the game and I could still play with 8 members of the group completely filling a lobby, that's pretty great. Every night had a different running joke that was in all the answers. Most of them were inside jokes about their school, which I did not understand. Don't think I forgot about Drawful too. That gave us some good moments too. I had a Microsoft Surface at the time. It's like a tablet. I used it to edit animation reviews, which you can't find anywhere, which I'm thankful of, and I used that to draw. Because drawing something funny on the iPhone 4 was frustrating. And I love these Jackbox games, don't get me wrong. It was cool that we could all play the same game, like a bunch of us. But I just wish, if I could have any wish at the time, it was that we could all play a game together online, but it's also something I like, something that they would never play. The lesson we learned from Jackbox is, it's a lot easier to get people to buy a game if it's free.
WWE 2K16 goes free.
From June 16th to 19th, WWE 2K16 was free on the Xbox store, and I knew this was my chance. So many years ago, my childhood friends got me into wrestling with a super cool wrestling game where you could do a ton of stuff. Now it's my job to do the same thing in a less fun wrestling game. The reason 2K16 was going free for a short time is because they were getting ready for 2K17 to come out, and they were getting ready to also shut down the online services for 2K16. They don't see the use in using one server, and it incentivizes people to buy the next game. Business! Universe mode and wrestling terminology scares the hose, but everyone was down to make a kooky character in the character creator. You could do this thing where you could download a face texture to put on someone's face, but I downloaded a texture and put it on this one guy's chest. This is Caveman Jim. He's got a 100 overall. For comparison, in the same game, John Cena is 95 and Brock Lesnar is 94. I didn't make him overpowered so I could play online. I made him overpowered so I could have a monster champion. I played a lot of wrestling games on the 360, and the 360 is when I first discovered the beauty of online games, but that never extended to the wrestling games. I didn't want to play them online. Even SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 had online, and that was my main game. I just had no one to play it with, and I didn't want to play against randos. So these guys getting 2K16 and wanting to fuck around with the character creator and play a bunch of wacky stuff is my first experience with playing with people online in a wrestling game. And probably my last. Huh. They all made their custom characters. In our first match playing online, we managed to clip out of bounds because it's a 2K wrestling game. They got to see the character creator and the glitches of the game firsthand, but I was excited about the gimmicks. So we hopped into the Elimination Chamber, and hey, go figure, we glitched that too. The way Elimination Chamber works is if you get pinned or submitted, you get eliminated, and you still get to spectate, but you're not there anymore. But for whatever reason, this guy got pinned, and he was still in the ring, and he was still able to fuck with shit, so he did. We did a tag team Hell in a Cell. We broke that. I don't know if the game glitched every time we played online, because we didn't do it that often, or I just recorded every time there was a glitch, and that's why all the clips I'm seeing and like, oh, through the memories are just the glitches. But if it comes to Fallout 4, I recorded all the glitches, but also that game glitched all the time. But I know that when you're fucking around on these matches just trying to have fun, they take a long time, so we couldn't have played any more matches than this. If it was any other game, I would give it the benefit of the doubt and assume I only captured when the glitches were happening, but because it's a WWE 2K game, no, it definitely glitched every time we played. And every year after this, each of the previous games went free for a short amount of time, but we didn't get to play them because stuff changed around that time. I still kept playing them though, but we're not at 2K17 yet. We're at Purple Supremacy or Yellow Supremacy. I don't remember the context for this. The rest of the summer comprised of me buying games I would never play.
Just Cause 3.
Never played it.
Mortal Kombat X.
I never owned a Mortal Kombat game, but I played a lot of the 2011 reboot at both the Call of Duty friend's house and Logan's house. So I thought I could get down with the next in the series, but I guess I ended up not liking whatever I played. I guess they changed too much. I played one Mortal Kombat game and I became a purist. I used to be pretty good with Sub-Zero, but it's kind of like riding a bike. You forget how to do it after a year.
Dragonball, Xenoverse.
This is my character, Normal Human Boy. There's nothing wrong about him. He is a normal human boy. He's definitely not an alien wearing a normal human boy skin. He's normal human boy. He's flesh colored. I don't even like Dragon Ball. I would like to.
Roblox.
I'm unsure of when I got Roblox, but I know it was this year because I had to take this screenshot of, at the time, the weirdest thing I had ever seen. Roblox has always been something I never really got into or understood. It's actually possible it's way more popular now than it was back then. At the time, all I knew about Roblox is I had 2 separate friends that each had boyfriends on Roblox when they were kids. One of them trusted me enough to send the whole chat logs of their whole e-dating experience as a kid. I can't imagine trusting anyone that much. They were hilarious. I wasn't a bully, or I didn't send them to anyone else, but I did make fun of her for it. The console version can't really do the things the PC version can. Story of my life, right? But the game was free and we could play it together, so it fit the criteria of the group. We would do some speedrun courses from time to time, but most of our time on it was either in hide and seek or disaster warning. In Roblox hide and seek, you're in a giant map relative to your size where one person goes around trying to find where everyone is. The more person they tag, the more person join them, the easier it is to find more people, last one surviving, or when the timer runs out, you win. I didn't look any of that up, that's all from memory, so if any of that is wrong, sorry. If you get caught, you don't really gain anything from helping the seeker, so everyone in the call knew where each person was, but we wouldn't snitch. Also, on the one map we played on, there was only so many secrets. Oh, did you know you can get on top of the statue? Yeah, we figured that out. There's nowhere else to hide. Roblox Disaster Warning was kind of like a proto Fall Guys. Oh, I just made myself sad. Could you imagine if Fall Guys came out and went free to play in our prime time of being preteens playing at that time? I wouldn't ever play anything else. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the toddler game. A different disaster attacks the map and you need to be the last one standing or survive until time runs out. Sounding familiar. Unfortunately, this is not the last we will see of Roblox in this story. Oh, but speaking of block game.
The island walls.
Hey guys, look, it's Minecraft! There's Minecraft in this video! Shout out to all the people who said I'm their favorite Minecraft YouTuber or that they love my Minecraft videos. I made the one. I talked about killing a kid and hanging his horses and I felt no remorse. What I'm about to talk about, I'm legitimately considering not saying it. It is sad and cringe. This world was the island world because when we started, we all separated and went to different islands. This is a far cry from the town world where we all lived walking distance from each other. I imagine we got sick of it. This whole thing isn't all from memory. It's a combination of going back to old worlds and looking at old clips. When I went back to the town world to get footage, I was flooded with memories of all the best times. When I went to this world to get footage, it seemed like something terrible had happened. First of all, on my Xbox, the world is titled Dick Potato Head Blumpkin. And I do remember that. I asked everyone in the party to give me one word to name the world. That's what we landed on. And who would have thunk it, Blumpkin was my choice, and it was a Creatures reference. I think this is where the whole stalking character came from, actually. After we finished on the town world, I switched my athlete skin to the Christmas stalking. I did mention that last time. And this was the first world I would be testing it out. Because in this world we were all on different islands, I did this one bit where I would bob up and down in the water and whisper into my mic when I was getting closer, thus the stalking. Aside from that, I have no memories whatsoever. Not fond ones, at least. This is the closest we're ever gonna get to like a post-apocalyptic Minecraft world. I went back into this world recently and I found a partially blown up gazebo, a ransacked ice island, torches scattered everywhere, an unfinished sheep farm with 3 sheep and 1 cow, and arguably the worst part, thought experiment. I want you guys to think about what an edgy white preteen who goes to a very sheltered school would think would be funny to build in the summer of 2016. Got your guesses? I've got mine. In the island world, I built what I called Trump Tower and built a wall around the island. This sucks, dude. You hear the word cringe and it's just kind of a word, but then you're like, it's hard to pin down what cringe looks like. That expression you just saw my face go through, that was it. I could have easily taken that to the grave with me. Not only is this unfunny, but it's also just like a terrible build. It's 5x5 and there's no stairs, so climbing it is a nightmare. And then at the very top, the top of the world, there's my bed on a small ass platform. There's probably a reason we didn't play on this world a lot. I don't understand this. Originally, I was just gonna chalk this up to edgy teenage loser, but even at the time, 2016, I knew who he was, and I didn't like him. I was upset about it. We did a mock trial at my school, and he won 99% of the vote, and I was, for the first time, I was like, oh, I'm surrounded. I'm not going to get into it. So what is this? Is this ironic? When historians dig this up hundreds of years from now, will they know it's ironic? When they dig up my corpse, will they know I was just joking when I died? What was the thing Quentin said? I fucking hate yeah, Trump. That. Just play that clip. What is ironic is the next Minecraft world that I am going to talk about later. The build I did went in the complete opposite direction, but we're not there yet. So for right now, I have to sit and fester in this. Everything that happens to me from this point forward, I deserve it. I didn't really mention it because it was only partially important last time. Around this time, everything in my life was changing. The next couple years of Xbox and my life by extension... That should be switched around. I like the implication that my time on Xbox is more important than my life. This video series that was supposed to be about only my Xbox experience has now become me talking about the group, and exclusively the group, but we know it didn't last. I said last time that I could find solace and rest easy knowing that the last time we played on GTA Online all together, we were in the Gulf War map, doing the golf course deathmatch. But our last hurrah... The GTA 5 heists were squad games that I mentioned before where you could have a max of 4 people. The GTA 5 biker update, you could have a crew of 8. Luckily for us, we had 8 active players. So on that day, the update dropped October 4th, we ceased being the OG Dump Squad and the Inc. organization, and we became
the OG Dump Riders.
Pretty... derivative. We put our little clubhouse here in the Grand Sonora Desert. It was the cheapest spot. There was a gas station built into the side of the hideout, and if you know anything about gas pumps in GTA and driving fast vehicles very fast into them, you know where this story is going, which is a really strange design choice considering they give you a bike every time you join the crew if you don't have one, and the point of the bike is to go fast. And with that, I no longer need to be the business mogul. I'm gonna need to get that later. That's, I threw it under everything. Not only was it the cheapest location, it also had the cheapest interior. I did spring for the jukebox and dart game because they came with it. The cheapest one has this giant mural of this lady with her legs open, and I'm sure in our infinite hilarity we gave her a name, but for the life of me I can't remember. I'm sure it was very funny. Because you could see some of the dump riders praying to her in the Funny Moments compilation. Oh yeah. Let's hold off on that. We got branding to talk about. This update came with a lot of things that we're going to get into, but most of which it was clothing options. You can choose to allow your biker gang to have their own clothes, but that goes against everything I stand for. The OG Dump Rider attire consists of a little hard hat, leather gloves, tight leather pants, a shirt, and a denim cutoff jacket on top of that with the classic OG Dump Squad logo on the back. If I could make this into merch, I would, but not to sell, just for me to wear. The new update also came with some weapons, but like always, we were more interested in the melee weapons. They added a tomahawk, and again, we had the friendly fire disabled, so we would constantly ride past each other and bonk each other on the head. But even cooler, if you were riding on the back of someone's motorcycles, and most of them are two-seaters, you can lean to the left or right and swing your axe in that direction. You couldn't damage each other, but you could still knock the other person off their bike. So we would double up and joust each other with these axes. We may have also hit a ton of passerbys, but that's not on the record. The MC clubs use this toddlers and tiaras ass pyramid to rank the members. Obviously, if you started the club like I did, you would be the president, you would be in charge of everything. When you first joined the MC club, you start as a prospect. Bottom of the period, scrappy, hungry for more. And above that is the sergeant at arms and enforcer. Ability-wise, they are more or less interchangeable and they do the same thing, but Sergeant is above it on the pyramid, so that's the one you want to shoot for. And right there in second place, the highest rank you can get without actually starting the club, Vice President. I don't care about what they can do, I care about the roles. Whenever I started the MC Club, I would keep everyone at Prospect unless they did whatever I deemed was a good job, because even back then I was eager to tell people what to do. But it didn't ever really come to actual business. I mean, there were business work to be done, but we were jousting. Oh man, I didn't even talk about the businesses. You could start different side hustles like a weed farm or a meth lab.
Walt, I don't know, man. You've been seeming sus lately.
You all thought having a clubhouse in the middle of nowhere that's hard to reach with a booby trap right out front was a bad idea? I mean, that part was right. But this far out of the way clubhouse was extremely close to our first business acquisition, the counterfeit money. I don't know what to call it. Establishment? I was wavering on whether to call it a lab or a farm, but neither of those sound right. I know the names of these characters, that's Juanita and Carlos. I know this because of the GTA 5 Funny Moments Part 1 video. Oh yeah, the video! You sure you wouldn't rather hear about Stand Your Ground, the game mode where all the bikers had to defend an area from other attacking people in the server? We had a lot of fun with that one. No? You sure? We spent like a huge portion of time doing that. It was really fun. Fine. October 11th, 2016. The video GTA 5 Funny Moments #1 was uploaded by Young Muzzy to the Young Muzzy channel. Despite having a to be continued at the end and being titled #1, it's the only video on the channel. The video opens with the song Get Your Foot Off My Foot blaring super loud in the background, as we were all very big fans of the piece at the time. It's also in the Best of 2015 video. The reason I didn't show the video in full is because it has a ton of copyrighted music, but mostly meme songs alongside classics like Thunder Snow and Smoke Weed Every Day Mario version. The difference is the Best of 2015 video was edited in the Xbox Live video editor, and I didn't edit this one. I can make fun of my shit till the cows come home. I made it, I deserve it, everything that happens to me I deserve. But I don't know if I can make fun of this video because the person who made it, maybe they hold it in really high regard. And then I thought about it. I doubt it. The market was already flooded with Funny Moments videos, but if I could copy all my favorite YouTubers, why can't he? Why must he be the victim? I'm the cringe. As far as stealing bits go, I'm pretty sure the group is actually just a bit from the Excommunicated. The music is too loud, and the video's full with strange choice of funny moments that aren't even that funny, but little me was just ecstatic to be featured in a YouTube video. If only he knew. As consolation for me being mean to a kid that no longer exists, your homework today is to go watch GTA 5 Funny Moments #1 on the Young Muzzy channel 100 times. If enough of you do this, it'll break into the thousands, and even funnier, I won't see any of that revenue. No online gamer group lasts forever, unless you make money off it, but that's not gonna happen. This video seems like a quaint little look into games I was playing, but you have to understand, this was my life, like my adolescent for a large period of time. Around this time, yeah, I had started high school and I was starring in shows and meeting new friends, but this, Xbox, is the important through line. Everything I did on Xbox affected my real life and vice versa. And that was about to change. But first,
WWE 2K17.
Strap in because I'm about to go super in depth about everything I remember about my WWE 2K Universe mode lore. There's a reason I put chapters on this video. If this seems boring to you, skip it. Where did we leave off last time? One of the Sullivan brothers turned up dead. Well, he's back now and he's out for revenge. Caveman Jim is still around, but the face chest texture thing doesn't work anymore, so now he is just a strong fat man. Of all the characters that have made it through multiple games, multiple consoles, multiple eras, I'm glad the misspelled orangutan has made it all the way to the end. He deserves it. Seth Stubbs is still definitely not Seth Rollins in a costume. I know I showed this clip last time, but it's actually a clip from 2K17. It's just too sick not to show again. Oh, crack. Rourke has now ceased being the Totino's King, but now goes by The Giant after winning a special battle royal. Fork parody of Farouk is still around, but the rest of the nation I made is gone. Thank God. The video just started. I've hit my limit on things that seem political or racist, but I promise aren't. That would have been the third one. That would have put me over the edge. Look how cool and epic my OC Tropical looks. He's getting a visor and slowly replacing all of his body parts with machine, becoming more machine than man, and then when he turns fully dark, he becomes Apoco, which is like short for apocalypse, and he rides a motorcycle out to the ring. Are we sure the Trump Tower is the cringiest thing I've done? Silver is also there. Ronald Phillips, the Goon, again, no relation. Mr. E continued the tradition of every game having a new mascot in each series. I don't know who the fuck Rose or El Strongmano are. I took one look at Fernando and just assumed I made that character because I forgot that Fernando was a real guy that actually existed and I just made him look dumb. And I mentioned Dancing Metal Dude, he's one of those street performers that paints himself in toxic material and you get to throw nickels at. What, my experiences aren't universal anymore? That's all the CAW. CAW stands for Create a Wrestler. Don't say you never learn anything. And it's down substantially from the amount I created in the previous game. That's because the amount of actual wrestlers I edited is way up. First of all, a lot of these are not interesting. A lot of them I just changed how they look and not much about the gimmick. Secondly, I should never be a fashion designer. What am I supposed to be looking at here? This is all very loud. Why did I put Baron Corbin in a gimp suit? Who can remember? I am happy to report, though, that my love of the undercard is still reigns true, still going strong, as the characters I gave the most development to are the Social Outcasts, the Ascension, and the Fascia Police. I love jobbers. There's a shit ton of titles here, but last time I checked, Curtis Axel is the world's champion, as it should be. I'm partial to the American Championship, not the US Championship, the American Championship. TV title that looks like a piece of shit. The internet title, this is just Zack Ryder's face with hashtag memes put across it. Video game championship, women's tag titles, I thought of it first. Like the Forgotten Sons in 2K16. There have been multiple occasions where I booked something as just like a dumb bit, as a joke, and then it happened in real life after that. They're watching me. I know they're watching me. I can't prove it, but I know they were watching. I had the big Luke war where I had Luke Gallows and Luke Harper fight each other who got to keep the name Luke. In the end, Luke Harper lost and went just by Harper. Conveniently, I do have footage of this, so I repackaged the character as just Harper. So tell me why a year later, or maybe even within that same year, Luke Harper returned on TV with just the name Harper and no Luke. He did have a big hammer, but I got the Harper part right. I will stand by the fact that I did way more with Alicia Fox in my fictional video game universe than she did in an actual decade on television. There seems to be a unified title for the 4 top titles of each individual show. Yeah, I had 4 concurrent shows running, all with multiple weeks of stuff all happening in universe mode. How did I have so much time? No wonder I used to enjoy wrestling more. Why can't I replicate this? Triple H got the developmental, Stephanie got to run the women's show, Shane was in charge of the SmackDown style show where everything had to be blue. Oh, and I also predicted the Revival being turned into comic book henchmen. I know they were Shane's henchmen because of how blue they are. A lot of the attires I changed are just color coding them to their respective shows. Why did I do this to the vaudevillains? For all the non-wrestling fans, you may remember Simon Gotch as the guy from the hit YouTube video Simon Gotch Buries Enzo Amore, which I know has showed up in your YouTube recommended at least once because I've heard multiple cases of it and it keeps showing up in mine. I watched it once. Backtracking. All right, even the titles were blue. The last show was run by Heath Slater and his NWO style stable. Nice. A lot of this is dumb and a lot of the teams have pretty terrible names, but the fact that I called my version of the Bullet Club the straight AJ Society because it has Luke Gallows in it, I really hope you guys get this joke because I'm pretty proud of it even still. Maybe Teen Me wasn't that bad. It works on so many levels. They're straight because of AJ's relationship with the gay community. Did somebody say gay community?
Oh, gay, so gay.
Gotta hit my quota. Watch the other videos, loser. This looks really creepy. I'm gonna record the rest of the video like this. Anyway, hey guys, remember the Xbox? I do actually like some of the attire changes. Switching Goldust and Goldberg, that's a given. Dressing up Roman Reigns like John Cena. Internet wrestling community in 2016. Dressing up Jason Jordan like a Wyatt family member. You know, now that I'm listing through them, most of these funny attires are just me switching people's attires. But the one I'm the most proud of, my crowning achievement, Christmas Cane. I should have called it Candy Cane. Finally, my Christmas obsession is omnipresent in all the games. I don't know what's going on with Trish Stratus, but it looks pretty cool. Titus O'Neil won the Money in the Bank, so he became a rich mogul who was flexing his money. I did the exact same gimmick last year with Bo Dallas. That seemed like that sentence was gonna have more stuff in it, but Big E revealing he's Mr. E's lost brother because they share the same last name. Again, under the category of stuff I'd still probably do today. As much as I would love to keep talking about this, that's all I remember. I literally talked about everything. Could I have paced myself? Could I have cut this video down so I didn't have to feature this whole wrestling part? Sure, I could have cut the whole thing out of the video. But the important thing is that I didn't. I didn't cut it out of the script, but should I cut this entire part out of the video while editing? If you see this, you will know the answer is no. Wow, very cool, Andrew. No one wanted to see that. If I seemed a little overexcited back there, it's because I know what's coming. I've been alluding to it this whole time, this oncoming storm. The story of Xbox at the time perfectly mirrors what was going on in my life. Where I was, what I was doing, what I was feeling. And again, I mentioned this a little bit. The entire time I was playing on Xbox One, Xbox Live, I was down in the basement. I finally was old enough to move downstairs, be under my own rules, take care of myself, be under my own jurisdiction, where all my games are, where everything is. I could play alone in silence. And in 2017, I lost it all. 2017 was going pretty alright so far. I went to MagFest like I do every January, put a pin in that, setting up a lot of potential videos in the future. Put that in the same list as What did I hint at? Bakugan? After winter break, I had to go back to school. This is normally a lull period for playing online as everyone's trying to get readjusted and being back in school. We played a lot in the summer as that was the most optimal time to play, but I do remember coming home from school and getting online immediately. It took some adjusting. For my Christmas/birthday presents, they're a couple days apart, so just more from together. I got tickets to WrestleMania 33. Again, pinning that. I'll come back to it. So many video ideas. So that was coming up in April. As far as high school goes, there were only 2, sometimes 3 people I could talk about wrestling to. But around this time before WrestleMania, my one friend, one of the 2 I talked to about wrestling, got tickets for a live event in Hershey and invited me to come, which was incredibly nice of him. So that day in March, I was dropped off at his house and then we drove down to the stadium and had a nice little time watching the live event. Braun Strowman set up a bunch of tables and then ended up going through them. It was fun. After the night had ended, I was dropped off at my house. Everyone in my house was asleep, but I went inside. I went downstairs to the basement where I lived, where I slept, and it was flooded. The carpet was like a sponge intaking so much water. When you stepped in it, it felt like you were gonna sink to the bottom, and I was freaking out because all of my TVs and consoles were just on the floor. Fortunately, the only thing that was truly broken was my Sega 32X, and I was bummed that we had to toss it. And then I found out a couple years later that the reason it didn't work is because I was trying it on a different Genesis. They only work with certain Genesis, and then when I have, it's not compatible. So when I plugged it in to test it and it didn't work, I'm like, oh man, water damage. When in reality, I had the wrong Genesis. I tossed my 32X for no reason. In the long run, didn't miss much. I collect consoles and I have yet to replace that 32X. Not for any emotional reasons. I just don't think it's worth it. But down there is where I lived. It's not just where I slept. All my stuff was down there. It was my only escape when I got home from high school. I fucking hated high school. I've always been violently independent. I wanted to be left alone and take care of myself. And now I couldn't be. It was gone. My hideout was gone. And I had to move upstairs to my childhood room that I hadn't been in since I was 12, where the rest of the family was. This probably doesn't seem like a big deal, and maybe I'm doing a bad job of explaining it, but the entire story I've told you up until this point, my entire time on the Xbox One, that was spent in the basement, in that exact room. And I've told stories about this room before. It's where I was all the time. So up until this point, Xbox One upstairs, unheard of. We are in uncharted waters, and it's gonna get really weird. And that wasn't the only thing that changed. I don't know what happened when I turned 16, but I just know that as soon as I came back for WrestleMania, the group wasn't really playing together anymore. Kind of just naturally drifted apart. The way the group was formed was I just played online with my childhood friend, and then he had all his friends from his school, but they're gone. So guess it's about time I start playing with people from my school. Story-wise, I don't really know what to call this new crew as we didn't really have a name at the time, but I do have this old picture of a bunch of us wearing orange, another snap of me wearing it with just the caption orange, and yes, that is a sheep sticker on my phone. Later 2017. So I'm just gonna call us the Stinky Oranges, even though most of the people we played online with are not in this picture. Moving on. If you're familiar with these videos or even just the previous Xbox video, you're gonna see a lot of returning faces and names. The new crew, the Stinky Oranges, consisted of Call of Duty friend, PlayStation friend, and Max, among some others. I know that this new crew started around April 2017 because my purchase history says that's when I bought Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and I would not buy that unprompted. Without going into the logistics of popularity and whatever that means, the first half of high school consisted of me going to school, being social, talking with everyone, and then me going home and going off the grid. When I said I was left alone in my basement, I meant it. There were times where the last word that would come out of my mouth would be during school, and the next word that came out of my mouth would be the next day at school. My first Snapchat streak was in 11th grade. It's not like I disliked anyone. I liked all these people and they all liked me. I was just unwilling to put myself out there and join a call, but around this time, that's where I ended up. I was playing Call of Duty online with my high school friends like every other basic teenager. I would play Black Ops with them whenever they were playing, knowing damn well that I cannot aim for shit. We got really hooked on Roblox speedrun maps. When I said previously that, oh, we'll come back to Roblox, it's this. I think we played it too much. What the fuck just happened to me? I got cursed. The upside is that I got to keep playing GTA Online with a new crew. We all went out and bought these neon alien suits and roamed the city. Again, logistics of popularity and whatever that means. It was just an interesting image to see the popular kids and be in a party with them and have their game played being Roblox, because a decent amount of them were like, yeah, I'm hard, you know, no one's cool than me, try and get in a fight with me, I don't think so, and then they were playing fucking Roblox. And I don't know what happened to prompt this. Maybe I was just ready to move on, maybe I accidentally left, or maybe I got kicked, or maybe wires got crossed at some point, but as far as the timeline goes, at this point, I was no longer a member of the OGDS crew. Spiritually, I will always be a member, but business-wise, it was time for the Inc. organization to expand and get new members, a new workforce. There's like a really sharp pin in the back of this, and I've started bleeding while filming. I refuse to take it out. I'm a dummy. For each GTA crew, it needs to have 4 letters, so this is when I started Crew Inky, I-N-K-Y, which I still am to this day. There's more to this story, though, and becoming a businessman again brought out my worst business tendencies. On April 14th, 2017, I purchased a GTA Bull Shark card, and what is wrong with me? I'll take out 1 million loans to keep this company afloat. Surely at some point he must realize that the business has never once turned a profit. Oh, and by the way, speaking of spending money, because I was really bummed at the time and I guess I deserved a little treat after my Solus was just flooded with icky drain water, I splurged a lot. On April 17th, 2017, I purchased
South Park, A Stick of Truth.
Never played it.
The Bioshock Collection.
Never beat it.
Overwatch.
Sorry, did you say something?
The Jackbox Party Pack 3.
The third installment of the Jackbox Party Pack series consisted of games Trivia Murder Party, a game where you answer trivia and try not to die gruesomely, Quiplash 2, the sequel to the classic gut-busting comedy-based game, Quiplash. Gaspionage, I don't think I ever played that one. Faking It, a game where you're trying to pretend you know what everyone else knows and pretending to fit in while also being a liar. This game only really works when you're playing in person. Among Us. I didn't even have that written, it just kind of, something primal in me came out. And finally, TKO, a game where you match drawings with sayings to make the best/worst shirts known to man. Quiplash and Quiplash 2 carried the comedy banner for a long time, but in the long run, I think TKO yielded the funniest results. One very late night on a whim, we all decided to play it and had a full party of 8 people, and oh my god, we were hooked. I mentioned in passing that at our school, the dominant console was the Xbox One, but as far as the Stinky Oranges go, we had some PS4 kids that would also like to play with us. With other games like GTA and Black Ops, everyone needed to own and buy the game. You know where this is going? I've sung its praises before. With the Jackbox games, only one person needed it. So they had phones and could play with us, but because they didn't have Xboxes, we couldn't talk in parties. We talked in house parties. 2017, we used an app called House Party, which to my knowledge, doesn't exist anymore. It's a video chat app where you could video call with multiple people at a time. I don't remember there being any problems with it, but along with the other high school apps we used of Kick and Whisper, I'm sure there were predators on it. I'm still deciding on whether I should say the P files word in my video. It flags your videos immediately and gets them demonetized, but I don't really care about censorship. However, it is something that comes up a lot. I captured so many clips and screenshots about my time on Xbox, and yet I never managed to save this shirt, and that will be my biggest regret. This is an artist's interpretation of the funniest shirt in the world, and it may not be fully accurate, but it was me that drew it in the first place. It is a duck or a chicken, we never really decided, wide stance, shooting at an egg, and the caption reads, "Shoot your goo." While we were playing at 2 or 3 a.m., we thought this was the funniest thing ever, and I was ecstatic because I created the saying and the image, and I think maybe the shirt, so I did all the work, and people thought it was awesome. This became our surrogate mascot. We drew this everywhere. This isn't admissible in court, by the way, but people graffitied it all over the school. You're not rebelling the way you think you are, you're just making more work for the janitors, except they never cleaned off the shoot your goo, and it remained there for years. Also, I'm pretty convinced they told the janitors to not even bother with the boys' bathroom because it was a mess and it never got better. So, Overwatch. I searched most of the year for multiplayer games I could play with the bros, but by the time I found Overwatch, nobody was playing. I know Overwatch has fallen out of public favor as of recently, but man, Overwatch in 2017, it was crazy. It took the gaming industry by storm, and every company wanted their own Overwatch. We got a lot of garbage because of it. The ones who are paying attention will remember that I said I'm a terrible shot, and that's the reason I don't normally play shooters. But consider this. Big Hammer. Yeah, I was a Reinhardt main. Go cry about it. Very rarely am I good at online games, and maybe the console division was a little lighter because, you know, they were separated by PC and console. but I kind of got good at it. Let me rephrase that. I was good at what I did. And what I did was protect the team, help move the objective, and occasionally hit people with a big hammer. And I was great at it. And I didn't stop at Reinhardt. When it comes to Smash Bros, I'm always more partial to playing as heavies. And Overwatch, the only difference was that they called them tanks. This whole video, both parts of the miniseries, are really just an excuse for me to show up the cool clips I've amassed over the years. Play of the game. I would play as Big Knight with bigger hammer, Robot Crab Alien, 2014 SJW owned compilation, and the big fat guy with the cool hook, and goddamn, it was the coolest thing ever. Why did I stop liking this game?
Yeah, free Hong Kong.
It may surprise you to know that I did in fact not play as the big monkey, despite my very public love of the genre. I just didn't like how he controlled. They didn't add the hamster until after I had already stopped playing. Probably would have played him too. I do remember them adding Doomfist, but that is the last new character I played, so if that helps you understand when and why I stopped playing. And not why. I didn't stop because of Doomfist. I'm bigoted. Can't wait for the sequel. What a dumb idea. When I was in high school, I predominantly hung out with people from my high school and people at work who were twice my age. It all made sense. We were all on the same schedule. We had more or less the same amount of work. If we wanted to work on stuff together, we could talk about it all on the call, and we could talk about what happened in the call the next morning. And then summer hit, and then it ended, and I was going into 11th grade. Crazy, considering the last time I mentioned my age, I said I was 13. We went to our yearly summer vacation with Logan's family and tried to play TKO, but it wasn't the same atmosphere as playing with those high school boys in that really shady app. But right before 11th grade, some people I used to know suddenly had a lot more free time. I don't know how it happened, but one day in early August, I was just playing online, and then I saw a bunch of old friends in a party and decided, I wonder what they're up to. And I joined the party. You thought the group was done forever? You got another thing coming. You see, it made more sense to play with high school chums when high school was happening, but in summer and winter, high school wasn't happening. I really gotta proofread this. Since we last played Minecraft, they had added a Hunger Games mode. I know that's not what it's called, but that's what it is. I distinctly remember as a kid being at the Call of Duty friend's house because he got really into Hunger Games. We were playing Minecraft Hunger Games because my computer couldn't run it. His older brother had it. We were playing it, and I said out loud, I said this, they should make a Hunger Games video game. I think it would make them a lot of money. And now, decade down the line, the biggest thing still to this day is Battle Royale games. I could have made, what was it, Universal? A lot of money. But Minecraft did it first. If this archived footage from around the time is correct, then on Xbox, we flooded the server with members of our own and absolutely dominated the game. I'm spectating here, so I'm not even in the game, but like here, you can see the final three made up entirely of members of the group, and Bigman, oh, the Ballad of Bigman. It says right here that the rules of the Xbox clearly state your original gamertag is made for you, and if you don't like it, then you can change it once for free. Emphasis on once. So basically, for those of you with no reading comprehension, you could change your name once for free, but after that, it would cost you. At this point, as a teenager, this made sense, and it's like, oh, that's fair. Upon getting a Steam account and looking back, what the fuck? If you want to prevent people from changing their names all the time, I don't know, you could just put a limit on it. This is not for the greater good of the online community. This is simply a predatory business practice. I would be more mad about this if the Big Man story was not hilarious. The member of the group who I lived with in the town world and then eventually usurped and killed and became the next king with the blaze rod, you really should watch the first video in this miniseries, decided one day that he should change his God-given Xbox One Live gamertag. Or so I thought. I remember this as him picking the name Big Man and then hopping in a party to all of us immediately making fun of him. And I just like, oh, he thought it would be a good name. That makes it funny. But upon talking to one of the members of the group recently, I realized I remembered this wrong. Two of the other members of the group were logged in his account somehow and, without him knowing, changed his name to Big Man, which we don't even think is a randomly generated name. It is just perfectly terrible. So when he hopped in the party with the name, he was equally as confused as we were vexed by it, which, while unfortunate, is still hilarious, if not even more funny. Like, it's not a good name. Like, none of us had good gamer tags, but this was uniquely terrible. Everyone's gamer tags are in the footage I'm showing, so if you really wanted to, you could reverse engineer and figure out who everyone is, but a lot of them don't play online anymore, and I don't have the same connection with a lot of them, so I don't want to, it's not doxing, but I don't want to make it super public. And because he doesn't use Xbox as much anymore, his name to this day is still Bigman, with some stuff after it that I won't tell you. I know it's a risk, but I really felt like I had to share this story. We were real fucked up. After a while, we got pretty bored of playing the Minecraft minigame collection, and we were all reminiscing about the good times, and then someone in the party piped up and said, hey, why don't we just make a new Minecraft world? I guess we didn't consider that.
The mountain wolves.
The nature of the town world is that we were all super close to each other. We lived blocks apart. Not city blocks, Minecraft blocks. So if anything happened, everyone would know about it. See previously, community chest. But the mountain world was named as such because everyone lived on a different mountain, so interaction was scarce. We call it the mountain world now because we all lived on top of mountains, but in my Xbox, it is called Pokemon Go to the Polls, which political affiliation be damned is still very funny to me. Speaking of politics, the last world I was super embarrassed to show off because of the whole Trump Tower thing, and then I mentioned that the next world would go in the exact opposite direction. This is that world.
Dude, Pride rock!
We may not have spent as much time together, like adventuring together, but because of that, each of our projects were super extravagant and time-consuming. Last time I mentioned I made my own hashtag IDARB flag a rainbow, just because I like the rainbow aesthetic. This mountain came from the same love of rainbows without any affiliation, but then I figured out what rainbows mean, and the name Pride Rock stuck out in my head, and I'm like, that's too funny, we gotta roll with that. Gay people keep ruining my love of rainbows, why must they take everything from me? And by exuberant, I mean, I'll give you a tour. It started out as just the mountain, but the more I played, the more I started to ransack the rest of the island. It's kind of like a metaphor or like an illusion. I'm one of those big companies that changes my logo to a rainbow while also making the planet worse for everyone. Also, I still did build a wall in this world. This timeline is kind of loose. I needed to put it together with what stuff I remember, what stuff was going on in the real world, and when each clip was. An easy way to tell with Minecraft worlds is by going through when they added each update. Console Minecraft was behind PC, but it updated a lot, but very rarely were there big updates. But every time there was, we realized it was time to move on to a new world because your old worlds don't really update with certain updates depending on what biomes they add. The only reason I bring this up is because a big contending factor of this being the summer of 2017 is that Pride Rock is covered with colored concrete, banners, beds, terracotta, wool, glass, and llamas, each wearing different colors. Anything you could color in the game, and everything you could color in the game. I took this new color and llama update to heart, I guess. I not only wanted the mountain to be made up of all the colors in the game, I wanted it to be made of everything that you could color. The walkway in is glazed with colored terracotta. Then you are greeted by leather armor colored every color in the game, all on armor stands. You follow the rainbow carpet up, path right up the mountain. The path up the mountain is made up of colored concrete powder, all placed above ugly cobblestone that clashes because those are blocks that fall. I guess I could have picked a colored block that doesn't fall. I'm realizing this now. I spent so much time on this mountain, I was like, oh, it's a time thing. What is wrong with me? The mountain itself, it's not hollowed out, mind you, is made entirely of colored wool. At the top of this mountain, hanging off the side, is this precarious platform separated by colored concrete with each different color of llama in between each pen. Don't ask me how I got them all up there, and definitely don't ask me how I managed to get them down. You can't even ride the llamas in this game. You have to use a lead to lead them, so rope tied around them, holding the other end, giant platform that's very skinny. Do the math. Let's call it poetic justice. I had it coming. You walk through this colored glass tunnel lined with colored banners to reach all the colored beds. The bedroom. And you know, it's beautiful on the outside. But you don't get to own the happiest place on earth without a couple of fronts to nature. Crack a few eggs to make an omelet. If you take a peek below the deck, you will see a sea of colored sheep just ready for breeding and shearing. Wait a minute, Andrew. I thought sheep only grow wool back when they eat grass. How'd you get grass underground? Why'd you keep them underground? To answer both questions in a convenient manner, I left a little sun opening to let grass lead down to the underground, and I kept them underground to crush their spirits. I don't know why I don't see more of these in other worlds. This is my cocoa farm. Coca farm. Can't make a rainbow without brown. It's also next to this line of cauldrons, all filled with different colored water. I took it to heart. I said, hey, everything that you can color in the game needs to be on this mountain, but it's all just ugly poop watercolors So even back then, I was like, yeah, just put them in the ground. If you look at the mountain from way in the air, you'll see a beautiful sight. But if you zoom out a little bit more, you'll see that all the surrounding deserts have been completely drained. I needed the wool for the mountain, but I needed the glass for the one-for-one recreation of Super Mario Kart's Rainbow Road. Don't look so impressed. I did this all in survival mode. Did I have to drain the planet a little bit? Yeah, but look at it, it's pretty. While flying around to get some footage, I found this turtle trapped in the inside of the walls, and you would think that maybe it's just a cool accident, but thinking back to 2017 me, I definitely trapped that turtle on the island on purpose. I don't remember if I named him, so let's call him Steve, or Harry, whichever you prefer. I'm not your dad. The first time I went there without getting footage, I witnessed the turtle push a chicken into a cactus and die. If you're seeing it now, then I managed to replicate it by putting a different chicken in there. Speaking of animals in bad conditions, each layer of the mountain as you go up has a different secret compartment. A lot of them were just stuff I could keep there so I wouldn't have to leave the mountain. There's the enchanting section, there's the nether farm, stuff like that. You also got a sad little pen of a couple horses hanging over the balcony with blocks too small that they can't fit out of and I can't even ride them out of. So terrible conditions. I should be put in like a ward. And as far as the rest of the island go, there are a ton of farms and just weird inventions scattered throughout. This over here is the saddest farm I have ever seen. I don't even know what it's for. Looks like beetroot. Of course, the traditional farm is looking better, and I got my own tree farm as to not replicate the church incident. I got a skeleton mob spawner, again, all in survival. No wonder I never wanted to leave. This island, I lucked out crazy. Over here, we got a spiral staircase that leads down to a cave. Over here, we got a redstone contraption that I don't think does anything. Over here, we got, this is, a tower, a building made out of furnaces, the purpose of which I don't seem to recall. And you can't stack furnaces without accidentally opening the furnace, so I made dirt scaffolding, so I guess it's unfinished. I had big plans. The centerpiece of the mountain part of the island that isn't the mountain or the Rainbow Road is the treehouse. I mentioned before that the thing that got me into Minecraft in the first place was the creatures, so by law, every new world I get, I am required to build a treehouse. Yeah, it's a nice little tribute. It takes you all the way up to the Rainbow Road, and above that, the branches lead to nowhere. Along with the spiral staircases that go straight down into caves, I also have a fake waterfall with a secret hidden cave behind it. I mean, an artificial waterfall with nothing hid behind it. Don't look there, please. Don't look there. We better check this guy's hard drive. Speaking of outing secret hideouts, Logan's place was halfway across the map in this little mountain hideaway. Looks completely innocuous, right? It's got a nice little farm, a mob spawner, a waterfall to help me get my llamas up to his house, a button on the wall. But if you hit the button, it opens up a secret compartment to the Chateau Mountain underground, where you will see a wide array of modern art, beautiful armory, fantastic flooring. I broke into his house to record this footage. I don't think he's gonna know. Like I said, we didn't all spend a lot of time together, but we each took on heftier projects because of it, to compensate. I mean, in all fairness, the Rainbow Road is definitely way harder to make than the church was, and I didn't even finish that. While we weren't in a giant town, I still wanted a convenient way to get to everyone's places to keep tabs, so across from the Pride Rock Mountain is a path that splits two ways. Immediately across the island, the perfect view from mine is a nice little island with a house built on it with a blown up YM, assumedly Young Muzzy. And while capturing this, I thought I was real smart for figuring that out, and then I turned around the other side and realized there was a sign above the door that says Uzi's place. And while looking around this world, we actually put signs everywhere. Like, they weren't added in this update, they existed before, we just went crazy with them this time. Reading the comments of the last video, someone mentioned that the spaceship from the previous world was the UNSC frigate from Halo, and the same guy in this world built the same thing again, but with lava coming out of it. It looks really cool, but it's made of glass, like the ceiling's glass, and it's in a snow biome, so you look up and it's just, you can't see through anything, it's covered. The sign outside of that says, "Welcome to the place," which, yeah, no lies in that. There's a random structure in the middle of nowhere, like it's not close to anything, with a sign that says, "Let me grab yo cheeks," and then a trapdoor right in front of it. The trapdoor leads down into a cave where all the blocks have been replaced with cobblestone, which is, to put it lightly, psychotic. Like, I know I replaced a mountain with wool, but this is, who will see this? Who Who did this? The Woodland Mansion was added either in the next update or in the same update, so we managed to come across one, and the sign right outside it claims that me and my former roommate also lived in this mansion. It was a new update, and we were mostly in the dark about it, so I guess we were just trying to trick people into thinking that we built it. It makes sense where all the carpet came from, if the sheep underground do not already explain. I ransacked the place. The story of how I found this mansion was that from the mountain world, I went inside the nether, got a little lost, built a separate nether portal in the nether, and then came out, turned to the side, and there it was. Like I said, crazy luck in this world. I built this nice little treehouse platform around the portal as to not kill myself every time I wanted to visit my vacation home. Anyway, moving on from the signs, the YM house is pretty empty. You go inside, it's a hole. Just a big hole in the living room, and then a separate, I wouldn't call it a house, but it's the same size as the already house built on the other side. I'm glad that there's not a lot of gravity in this game because the structural integrity is enough to make you squirm. That being said, the side room does look a lot better. I think you put more effort into that. I like it. It gets a pass from me, you know, the authority in Minecraft. I don't know exactly who built this one, but there's a little glass style house that's like perfectly circular. Well, not perfectly, it's Minecraft, but circular. And there's a very similar structure built in the town world by these two other people we played with. So I would assume that they built the same one, but it's right across from the mansion, which means that either me or my roommate built it across from the mansion, or those two built it, thought they saw the mansion, like, oh my god, we finally found a mansion, and then read the signs outside that we colonized it. I mentioned the previous world being post-apocalyptic, but this is like Herobrine world. There's a random F-shaped building in the middle of nowhere, and the inside is completely renovated. Like, you could tell how much progress someone has made on a Minecraft house by if the ground is made of dirt or the ground is made of different material. It's actually pretty creepy, but also interesting. We all played on this world, but in the town world, I could see what everyone was doing, whereas this, I've flown around and found a bunch of random structures I've never seen, and I'm just going off of what I found, so there could be also a bunch of other structures that I just don't know about. The last big landmark I do know is important is this completely empty mountaintop. But isn't it weird that it's completely flat? Like, that isn't naturally flat. That's man-made. It's also covered in torches, which, yeah, someone adventuring could do that, but they're very spread out. I can't confirm this, and I can't prove it, but I am fairly certain there used to be a giant fidget spinner on this mountain. I remember someone making a giant fidget spinner in one of the two worlds I talked about today, and as far as mountaintops go, this is the mountain world. I feel like it has to be this one. And it could have been the town world because I don't think they existed at the time, and even if they did, they wouldn't have been popular and we wouldn't have known about them. Originally, I thought it could have been the island world and was prepared to talk about it there, but I remember it being on top of a mountain. This is the mountain world, and this mountaintop is completely flat with torches all around. I feel like it had to be here, but now I seem crazy because someone destroyed the fidget spinner, and I don't know if anyone else remembers it. I hope so. They could easily gaslight me if they wanted to. I really had it coming. I definitely remember there being a fidget spinner on top of this mountain. I can't prove it. I know it was there, though. I promise I'm not making this up. It was here. I'm a fidget truther. The only other evidence I have of anything happening in this world is Logan trying to build an infinite moving machine to transport him from my mountain to his, and it immediately dropping him and leaving him to die. And upon going back to this world to write the actual script and capture some footage, I found it. Still pushing along. Even if you're hearing this a decade from now, watching the video back for nostalgia, some say still to this day it's moving. The rest of the summer was pretty uneventful. Overwatch held their first annual Lucio Ball event, and there was a period of time before I fully fell out of Overwatch, but after I played it regularly, where I would still come back for every big holiday thing, so I'd come back for this. Playing it in the Christmas with all the Christmas special stuff, that was really fun too. The only reason I would ever play Mai. And around this time, going through purchases, somebody bought a $20 GTA shark card. I wonder who it was. I may be ready to admit I have a problem. Nothing about this miniseries says that I solely have to stick to multiplayer games I played online with my friends. I mean, I did make the rules. But when it comes to single-player games, there's not a lot to say that couldn't be in its own future video. I did mention that I had a lot of 360 games, but they all fell into 5 different categories of wrestling, Disney, Skylanders, Sonic, Star Wars. How did I forget about Star Wars? I did a whole thing about it. It's important to note that one of those 5 is Sonic, and I'm not a hater, but I always tell the story of my experience with the blue blur is, as far as I'm concerned, Sonic is in the public domain, where as a kid, I never played any official games or watched the official show. I learned about Sonic by playing Flash games and watching YouTube videos or like videos on Newgrounds. And then I got 2 plushies from like a fair, and they were definitely bootleg. So I had a Tails and Shadow plushie. Characters I only knew because of the internet, and they were both bootleg. I never owned any official Sonic thing. And that is true. I didn't get any of these Sonic games until my teenagers, where I'm like, yeah, I want to collect these. I didn't get Sonic 06 because I thought it was going to be a good game. I got it because I knew it wasn't. One time Chris came over to my house. I actually think it's the same time he came over for the Chivalry thing, and we loaded in Sonic and the Genesis collection, but instead of playing an actual Sonic game, we played this game called Comic Zone for the entire day trying to beat it, and then we didn't. And the story continues. I also didn't want to mention it before, as it would spoil what was going to happen in the story, but the Chivalry thing I mentioned earlier while we were playing Chivalry, that was in upstairs. So that was post-flood, but I couldn't mention like, oh, we were upstairs, because that would have given it away. Not that it really matters now that I'm thinking about it. What I'm trying to say is I got a ton of bullshit around this time, but unlike the Rare Replay, Forza Horizon 3, Halo Warthog, and Final Station, which were all free, that's an important thing as to why I have them, I got Sonic Mania around this time with real money. I bought it. Sonic Mania is a good game, despite some issues. I mean, it is held back by the archaic control system of the Genesis, and the one clip I have of this game is the game glitching. But I remember it being good. There's like 6 main buttons on this thing. A lot of these buttons in-game don't do anything, but jump and spin dash, still tied to the same button. By this time, 2017 was coming to an end, and I had my fun, but I wasn't ready to be done with purchases, so I pre-ordered WWE 2K18 like 2 days before it came out. I was wondering why I bothered pre-ordering the game, as it was a couple days before release, and then I remembered that the game had a Kurt Angle pre-order bonus. Totally get it, totally justified. The story continues on and is carried over from the previous game and on to the next game, but this time around, there's not as many new characters. The only new creations are Ice Tank and Mascot 5.8. What happened here? You may think that the Doctor is a new addition, but in reality, that is a long callback to a character I had in one of the 360 games. He just retired a little bit. There's so much lore here, most of which I don't remember, and all of which I can't imagine you guys care that much about. Returning classics like Caveman Jim, Dancing Glowing Golden Dude, they added glowing textures in this game, Fork the Goon, again, no relation, Mr. E Orangutan, still spelled wrong, Ronald Fingers Phillips, oh my god, that stuttered me, Seth Stubbs, Silver T'Rourke, no longer the king, no longer the giant, Todd Sullivan by himself, I think his brother died for real this time, or maybe it was the previous, I don't know. Maybe I called the brother dying thing too early. Maybe this is when it happens. And of course, the only constant, Tropical. Ah, he's so cool. The championships and shows are more or less the same. The GM roles have been given back to Slater, Ryder, Shane, and Triple H. Oh, and by the way, just to date myself, the day I'm recording this, in real life, Triple H has been given creative control of like the whole WWE, which is awesome, by the way. I'm not even being sarcastic. I'm pretty hyped for this. There's honestly not a lot of new creations to talk about, but I do want to show everyone how much better I got at naming things. I renamed the Twin Towers to A Tragedy, which is a marked improvement. Rusev and Rhino named Horn and Sickle, because Rhino, Horn, Russia, Hounds of Injustice, La Familia, The Unmasked, the Super Bludgeon Brothers. I have no clue what's going on here, but I kind of dig it. The Varsity Club instills in me an equal amount of confusion and excitement. Wild and Wilder, because one's a monkey and his last name's Wilder. He's also wearing a monkey suit. Writers Guild instead of Authors of Pain, just a colon instead of the colognes. I came up with the name Gun Club years before AEW did, so again, I am owed royalties. And I never ended up getting 2K20. It's like famously one of the worst wrestling games and barely ran. The Switch version is like comically like, oh my god, this is garbage. But I couldn't have known that until after the game was already out for a while, and I normally get the games at launch. I mean, I pre-ordered this game. But it's just interesting to note that at launch around 2019 when the game came out, I was like, I don't need this one. And then they didn't even make 2K21, so the next 2K22, which was the next one, I'm like, yeah, I'll get it. I'll get back into it. And I honestly think the release of the Ascension around the same time directly correlated to me falling out of love with wrestling. Or at least specifically the games. Who am I going to put as my main champ if Victor's not in the game anymore? And now all the Social Outcasts and the Fascia Police have been released. I feel nothing anymore. I will never love again. At least we still got the New Day, so I can keep pushing these 3 equally dumb attires. Biggie being related to Mystery, though, still gets me. At this point, I felt that enough time had elapsed that I was ready to move on to the basement, getting ready for whatever the next flood could be, because life doesn't have highs without downs. If you want to be able to experience the good parts of life, you need to be ready to experience the bad parts. You need to open your heart to let it break it all. I can't just close myself off. If I really want to do the best parts of life, I need to be ready for heartbreak if that is to happen. That's the human condition. That's life. I'm talking about a basement. I also wanted to scream late at night without disturbing my family. I separate my time on Xbox One into 4 eras: the Group, Stinky Oranges, Pink Room, and Pandemic. But obviously we aren't there yet. We have been in 2017 for so long, and by the time I moved downstairs, it wasn't even over yet. Something was still in the horizon. December 2017.
The Doomsday scenario. Mushroom clouds, fallout.
Oh, it's supposed to be at a potluck.
Say hello, Clifford.
You're embarrassing me, Avon. Rated M for mature.
My character had gone through a lot of persona changes. Like, I didn't even mention Rainbow Man, the rainbow-colored vigilante that people don't know the identity of. It could be anyone, really. Pretend I didn't mention this. Again with the rainbows, you learn one Mickey Mouse Clubhouse song and you think you're a genius. But around the Doomsday update, he became the horse doctor. He had this whole arc of self-acceptance and finally taking the bag off and being like, this is me, this is what I'm like. And then he put a horse mask over his face.
Yo, put that bag back on!
The Doomsday heist, like most modern GTA updates, required you to buy a new property. The facility. I think they added vehicle cargo and the hangar between this and bikers, but I did not care. Nor do I. Staunch, staying in my stance. Of course, already in GTA, I had the Christmas-based insurgent. In Terraria, I was a Christmas tree. In Minecraft, I was the stalking Christmas stalking. Again in GTA, we got Christmas facility. Huh? It's a fresh take on an old idea. I'm talking red floors with green banisters. Even the thruster has a snowflake red pattern on it. The inside of the Avenger was green, but around Christmas that had Christmas lights in it. It looks way better only in that, like, week period. You could tell by the stuff I just listed, this was the update. They finally pulled the trigger on the futuristic stuff. People wanted this for so long, and then they finally added it, and now people want it gone. I get that you don't want to get shot, but the oppressor helps me avoid people. But I didn't get any of this stuff until after I got the heist payout. So let's focus on that. While the Doomsday heist innovated a lot of things we see in modern GTA, you still couldn't do the heist alone yet. You needed a minimum of 2 people. Having the group back together one last time to play on that Minecraft server was fun while it lasted, but you know, summer was over and I guess everyone was busy that winter break. God, this shit is so hot. If you see me not wearing the jacket in the other sections, you'll know why. So because the group and whatever I called the Orange Crew weren't playing together, I had to pick randos. So I was back to soloing, and if we could take anything away from the last video, any one thing, it's that doing heists with randos sucks. As much as I have a soft spot for the original heist and the heist update, and everyone thinks the newer ones are better, the Doomsday heist, I think, is the most well-rounded and the most like an actual video game.
The gate of breaches!
A good game doesn't slow your progression with a bunch of boring tutorials. It teaches you how the game works by having you actively engage with it. They introduce it in a safe environment, then they test you a little bit, and then they push you into the actual challenge. That's how games are supposed to work. In previous heists or missions, the game was already out for a decent amount of time, so there wasn't a lot to introduce beyond fly helicopter, drive car, shoot man. But with the Doomsday update, they actually did add a ton of stuff that has a little bit of a learning curve and may surprise a lot of players. There are 3 heists, and by that I mean 3 acts of one big heist basically, and each have individual setups, but to start the setups you need to do prep missions where you steal vehicles from free mode. Free mode is the public session, so while most missions you're just by yourself with your crew, to get this stuff in free mode you have to avoid everyone else playing the game. But aside from that, you basically just have to go to a random point on the map and steal a vehicle. Easy, boring, let's move on. The first setup in the data breaches heist is basically just for story and continuity to set it all up. Oh, that's why it's called a setup. I'm dumb. One team has to go undercover inside a hospital and search a bunch of bodies for intel. Another team has to fly and target a helicopter. What did I say last time? I'm really impatient when it comes to helicopters, but really careful when it comes to everything that isn't helicopters. Oh no. So yeah, I was the one that ended up flying the copter. I have no clue why people still make me do that. The next setup is actually when it starts to teach you stuff. Not only teach you the mechanics of a new car, but teach you stuff you will need to know for the other setups and the heist. The setup revolves around the Deluxo, a new vehicle that has a ton of tricks up its sleeve. What am I, a marketer? The first part of this mission consists of you driving behind a truck and having to hack it. I love that hacking in this game is time to open the hack app on my special smartphone, and then you just wait for the loading screen to pull up. It's like, oh man, I'm in, I hacked it. As a famous hacker, I can let you know, this is very accurate to real life. You chase down 3 trucks and you hack all of them, and then a new target blips on your map, and it's in the ocean. Then the instructions let you know, hey, you should drive this thing into the water. And I know I'm arguing right now how cool this mission is and how well it teaches you the mechanics of the new car in the game, but I'm fucking stupid, so I drove the car right into the ocean. I couldn't figure out how to make it float. It was a new concept to me. Luckily, I failed the mission for the entire team. I did then find out how to float, and then the next try, accidentally hit the same button and sank the car to the bottom of the ocean for a second time in a very short amount of time. Despite fucking up multiple times, I eventually made it to the last phase, hacking a plane. If the hacking was the lesson and the water was the homework, the plane is the final exam. I now knew this thing could float. But fly? You chase behind this plane as it's about to take off, and then it takes off without you, and you think, damn, I didn't do it in time, it took off. And then a message appears on your screen to fly after the plane. So you hit some more buttons I can't remember, and the Deluxo takes off in the air, and now you're in an aerial chase fight in this flying future car, chasing a plane and hacking from your smartphone. This is gonna seem really corny, as we are now accustomed to this now, but when I first saw this, when I first played this, when I first took flight, it blew my mind. I gasped. I was just really excited. And then after you hack the plane, you get to shoot it down while avoiding helicopters. I know I have my complaints, but sometimes this game rocks. The final setup, you sneak into a building, avoid people, and then eventually have to shoot the people, and then hack some computers, and then helicopter away. I just described the whole thing. At least the hacking in this setup is a legitimate puzzles. I may be a terrible shot and also terrible at flying helicopters, but goddamn if I'm not good at little puzzles. This setup does at least get you ready for the heist finale, where you do the exact same thing and you break into a facility that's just the reused model of your own facility, and the Deluxos aren't even a part of it. Why did we learn that? When it was marketed and announced, it's like, oh man, 3 new heists in the update, but each heist is a different act of the same story, so Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, so the 2 heists that aren't Act 3 can't have a sense of finality. They just kind of end, and it's like, good luck, fucker, go on to the next one. We get some plot. There's some guy named Bogdan. He looks harmless. I'm sure he won't be a problem.
The Bogdan Problem!
Nice one. I have vague memories of, in the setups for the Bogdan Problem heist, dying multiple times in random shootouts in a random location, and I couldn't pinpoint which setup it was. That's because it's all of them. First setup, you go into a hangar, you use your night vision goggles to slowly fight your way to the front. I'm not gonna pretend like I was fantastic at this, because I died over and over at this, and when I was playing with randos, people kept leaving. I had to get a new whole crew, wait for them to drive back to the hangar again. But after enough times of dying, you learn from your mistakes. I figured out the perfect run, the perfect people to shoot, the perfect direction to move, the perfect cover to hide behind, and then when I mastered it, the randos kept dying. Random people had to join the crew because I wasn't playing with anyone at this time, and you need a minimum of 2 people to do the setups and the heist, and they kept dying and dying and dying and dying and dying. And the worst part about this, they left after that. They died a bunch of times. We sunk so many hours into it, and then after the 2nd hour, they're like, you know what? Nah, this isn't worth it. And then left. You're never gonna get that 2 hours back. They bail. I just want to do the mission on my own. It'd probably be easier if I did it on my own. Oh man, a high-ranked GTA player thinks that people are holding him back. They weren't even trying. I am never at peace. Weird way to start this sentence. Either I'm doing super well and everyone else is annoying me, or I'm doing terribly and I am fearful about the people I've never met will hate me or message me and harass me because I messed up one thing, and I'm like, oh man, strangers on the internet hate me. Not a lot has changed. After hours and hours and days of attempting this, I mastered the shootout, and then to speed up the process, you're up in the rafters and then everyone's dead and you get down to the jet. And I thought, hey, what if I jump down? He killed me, I die. And then it spawns you back at the beginning of the hangar, before the shootout, before everything I just mentioned. I was having a crisis. Maybe I'm the reason they all left. The rescue ULP setup mission is this, but the worst of both. There are two teams, the ground team and the rescue team. The rescue team has to go inside this building, have a giant shootout, shoot all the people, rescue this guy, and manage to get him out. The ground team stays on the outside in a little sniper's perch and takes out everyone that tries to run inside, making the rescue team's job a little bit easier. Every time I did this, I ended up being rescue team, so I asked this as a genuine question to all the people that played ground team. What do you do? I'm fighting for my life in here, Rambo style, by myself, because every time I try and get randos, they immediately bail. I got enough on my plate trying to fight my way through the building, so tell me why I have a bunch of dudes coming up from the rear. You're supposed to be guarding. Legitimately, what do you do? I'm dragging myself through hell and you're up playing with your worm. Salvage hard drives. I get a break. I remember playing this mission a lot. So either I restarted the heist multiple times to keep doing it, I kept joining other people and just this was the most popular mission, or I kept failing this over and over. Some of these missions are nearly impossible to be done with anything less than a full squad of 4 people. Some of these missions can be done by 1 person and don't need the extra. I mentioned that I grinded before, grinded, but that just consisted of me joining random contact missions and they all autoplay after another occasionally. And I would turn the TV off at night and tie a rubber band around the controller so I wouldn't get kicked for inactivity. It seemed toxic, but nobody cared about the contact missions at the time. Upon some self-reflection after saying that, I think I am the toxic player. But I never did it in important stuff like heists. Mostly. It's not like I sought out this mission to grind and not do anything on purpose. It's just whenever you're the 4th person in the truck, you don't need to do anything. I've always been a guy who hates loading screens and cutscenes. My philosophy is if at any point in your video game, there is a point where the player can put down their controller, it's boring. A lot of games can't control how long their loading screens are, but a lot of them can control how long and boring their cutscenes are. So it's the game's fault. Can't be my fault, because it's the game's fault. I haven't really talked about the preps, because most of the preps are just you running around in free mode, picking up some vehicles you need for the setups. But for the Bogdan problem, one of the preps is grabbing the new vehicle, the Stromberg. The Stromberg is a James Bond style car that can turn into a submarine. You see where this is going. Even more so than the Avenger and jumping on top of it, I was so embarrassed to mess up the submarine recon mission. The point of this mission is to take the Stromberg underwater to blow up a ton of sea mines. Originally, when I remembered dropping the one Deluxo in the water, and then I came across this mission while I was going back through the notes, and I'm like, oh, I misremembered. I actually dropped this car in the water and failed the mission. And then I looked back at both of them and realized, no, I just messed both of them up in the exact same way. Multiple times, too. I took the Deluxo out of float mode and sank in the water. I took the Stromberg out of submarine mode and died instantly. I failed both of them in the same way. When you don't know how things work, you just hit every button. Occasionally, you hit the same button you hit to activate the thing. Not excusing it, just explaining why I think that. One time we were fighting our way into the military base and it was a long and stressful time, and then we finally got in there and I stuck inside a tank and I couldn't figure out how to shoot the tank, so I was hitting every button, and in the chaos of hitting all the buttons I hit the Y button, thus jumping out of the vehicle and dying. I don't know if you knew this, but in GTA Online and GTA 5, most GTA games, the Y button is the exit vehicle button. Whenever there was a new player and we were all flying together, we would tell them that if they hit Y, they get a special bonus, and then we would see their body fall out of the air and splat on the ground. It's common knowledge, everyone does this joke. Is this even about a heist anymore? The actual Bogdan problem heist consists of 2 teams, and if you want to maximize the amount of money you make, 2 people. One person flies the Avenger to the submarine where the other person goes inside the submarine and does the whole mission. The person in the Avenger doesn't have to do anything and just waits for the mission to be over. Guess which one I was. How and why is it that every time I'm in an air vehicle, it's the hardest it's ever been, but whenever I'm not, it's the easiest thing in the game? When it comes to the original heists, I had a lot more to say about the actual heists than the setups, but with the Doomsday heist, the heists part are actually pretty boring. Fighting through the sub was the easiest thing I had to do in all the missions. And again, just because it's Act 2 of an overarching story, it ends anticlimactically, and we find out that the tech mogul that was helping us out and that we were helping in turn turned out to be evil, and his evil AI Clifford is going to take over the world. After this cutscene at the end of the heist, getting in this Avenger could go 2 ways. The Avenger could try and land in the water to pick you up and then immediately destroy itself. Or you could go on the beach where the Avenger can't really see you and then lands on top of you, crushing you, and you die. There's no in between. Then we get another cutscene where Lester hops in an invisible car and drives away. Let's wrap this up.
The Doomsday scenario.
This is really where the repetitiveness starts to really set in. Set up one escort mission for Agent 14, fight a bunch of people on a dock, and then tanked up Invisiboys show up. The best way to defeat them is explosives, but again, the dock is made out of wood. One shot and the whole level goes up in flames. Down in flames? Up in flames? It catches on fire. Set up 2. Escort mission, but this time for the ULP. After fighting off these early henchmen, you get access to actually some pretty cool vehicles that you get to use in the mission. It's a shame it takes forever. And I don't mean it's hard, I just mean it's artificially stretched out. Yeah, it's fun to shoot helicopters out of the air with an explosive van, but once you hit like the 100th helicopter, it ceases to be fun and starts being work? Maybe I'm just spoiled and my 2-second attention span can't handle how epic this game is. The next 2 setups are the exact same, except it's a different vehicle. What a twist. Set up Barrage, you pick up the Barrage and fight people with it. Set up Kanjali, you pick up the Kanjali and fight people with it. Wow. Not only is it the exact same setup twice, but in the actual heist, you pick between which of these you want, and they each fit about 4 people, and it's easier to have all the crew together, so you would want to pick one of the vehicles. So in reality, in the heist, one of these vehicles you won't even use. If it was even, it would make a little more sense, but it makes even less sense because the Barrage is nothing compared to the Kanjali. The Kanjali is a plasma tank with a giant plasma rifle. It shoots lasers. What does the Barrage do? It's a van with a gun. The Barrage is far worse than the Kanjali. Why even bother stealing it? We don't need it. And the final setup is, again, the same thing, except you're stealing a giant plane with the Empire State Building wingspan. You know that one scene in Star Wars The Force Awakens where someone's using the gun under the Millennium Falcon and Rey needs to turn the ship off and flip it upside down so Finn can get the shot? That's this mission, except they're communicating with each other, and I'm getting random DMs from people I've never met in my life yelling at me. Like I said, the Doomsday scenario claims to have 3 new heists, but in reality, it's just 3 acts, and the Doomsday scenario, that's the only actual heist. And even then, it's not really. That being said, it does feel the most like a heist, at least. It's the longest of the 3, and at least it has an actual ending. I couldn't pinpoint why this doesn't exactly feel like a heist, and then going back through it, I realized you don't heist anything. Like, our mission statement is to save the world, and the money is just kind of secondary as a reward. You're telling me there is a secret base buried under Mount Chiliad that no one knows about with a bunch of high-tech equipment, all of which we have to bury under anyway so no one else can find it, and we didn't at least steal, like, a stapler? Who's gonna miss it? Oh yeah, this heist takes place in a secret facility inside Mount Chiliad, which, if you know a lot about GTA Online, or GTA in general, this has been hinted at for a long time. This is a big deal. The prophecy of the jetpack has come full circle, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. The heist starts with the squad driving to the pickup spot and picking either the Barrage or the Kanjali, and they're gonna pick the Kanjali because it's way better. The next step is driving and shooting through a tunnel, and because you chose the Kanjali, it is not hard at all. You did choose it, right? Then we hit this little roadblock that you can't get past at all. It's not like the roadblock is super high or hard to get around. I just mean legitimately, the game just shuts down your vehicle so it can't move anymore. If you're still on your first attempt and this has all happened in one run, you can remain in the Kanjali or, you know, Barrage for as long as you want and keep shooting stuff and then eventually get out. But if you die and spawn back here, you cannot get inside the vehicle. It's basically a giant brick. And as far as the spawn points go, this is it. This roadblock is your spawn point. You die in the heist, at any point in the heist, you come back to this roadblock. It was hard enough doing a heist finale with a crew together because the crew had different schedules, but doing it with randos, if you play GTA at any point, even on next-gen console, it still does this. Loading into the loading screen takes like an absurd amount of time, so you're just sitting there on the edge of your seat wondering if this is the one where everyone bails and you have to start the whole heist over again with a new crew while also trying to find a new crew, and most of the time, the answer is yes. I get that this is a heist finale, so it must be super hard and very difficult for most people, but 3 deaths? I can't handle 3 deaths. I'm gonna leave even though I've been here for a long time and the other person has to start over. Yeah, I think actually I'm gonna leave in the middle of the heist. That sounds like a fun use of my time. And the ride to the roadblock isn't that hard, but the fact that every time people leave, you have to wait for the loading screen to be booted out to free mode, find a new crew again, wait to load back into the mission, and then do the drive, get the Kanjali, drive through the tunnel. None of that is hard, but doing it over and over, it will take your whole day. And then maybe people bail again. I'm at my limit. And I was really pissed at first because I knew this was likely only the beginning of the heist and was only going to get harder after that. So if I can't get people to stay in the early, easy parts, what chance did I have at the later parts? We're talking about this telling a story progression, finally get past the roadblock.
This door? You did not hack it. You never even opened it.
I could hack it.
prove it. Open it.
I can prove it anytime I like.
No, Clifford!
Voila.
Your AI is vain and insecure. I wonder where he gets that from.
All these heists and missions and setups, at least for me, have been more or less the same thing over and over. Some of them have been a nice little turn, but most of them are go behind cover, shoot the guy, run away from the thing, drive the car, drive the bike, fly the helicopter, shoot the guy behind cover, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And I was fully prepared for the Doomsday scenario to be equally as derivative. But then, this part of the heist, you break into a little server room, and you need to hack a bunch of little computers with a bunch of little hack puzzles, and oh my god, finally! Finally a challenging heist where I can flex my expertise. Like I've shown throughout both the videos, I very rarely message people who are in a crew who I'm not really talking with, but when it came to these hacking computers, I messaged everyone and let them know, hey, I got this. I cracked my knuckles in real life and started doing all these rotating hack puzzles. God, I love these little puzzles. I'm in my element. I'm a little puzzle freak. And then after the hacking's over, you shoot some guys and use an orbital cannon. Who cares? But going through there, the heist reaches a fever pitch as Avon takes off in a jetpack, and we have a very clear shot at him, but we decide not to shoot him for some reason. But I'm glad we didn't shoot him, because the end of the heist, we all take off in different jetpacks and have an aerial jetpack fight with Avon, shooting him with missiles out of the air until he explodes and hits the ground. Never mind, I changed my mind. This heist rocks. The prophecy has been fulfilled. It's probably one of my favorite heists conceptually. You know, in an ideal world where I was playing with a bunch of people who wouldn't bail in the middle of it. The GTA 5 Doomsday heist update gave me separation anxiety. Wow, what a 2017. I'm sure 2018 will be much better. Due to intervention from the YouTubers I was watching at the time, I decided to get my first Far Cry game, Far Cry 5. I've been having some trouble writing this just because I'm nervous about being able to top myself, not nervous about topping other people. I gotta write that one down. I think of such mediocre jokes and I'm like, well, they're gonna love this one. I could cut that out. It doesn't add anything. I need to be realistic about why people are here. Are you here to relive the funny moments in a very nostalgic way to help you relive your time on Xbox? Or are you here to hear the complicated lore I set up for characters I made that no one else cares about? I just answered my question, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. Sunset Overdrive was one of the first games I played on the Xbox One, and I played it and enjoyed it for a long time. And then I got to this one pigeon level that I couldn't beat, and then stopped playing and forgot everything about the game. But the character is what's important. If you'll direct your attention over to this guy with the pumpkin head and the black cape, this is where the lineage starts. And the lineage continues with the current reigning and I was going to say defending, but I haven't defended it. It's been like nearly a decade. Whatever, the current champion of #PieDarb is the Pumpkin Priest. But where did he come from? The pumpkin-headed freak from Sunset Overdrive must have a bunch of offspring somewhere. The villains of Far Cry 5, and by extension the people you need to take out one by one, are known as the Seed family. There's Ethan Seed, Faith Seed, John Seed, Jacob Seed, Joseph Seed, and of course the forgotten member, Pumpkin Seed. They're family, sure, but did Pumpkin Seed manage to kill all of them and 100% the game with his 2 animal sidekicks? You know the answer. Yeah, of course he did. You're damn right. This may come as a surprise as how often I talked about not liking shooters before, but I got really into Far Cry. I think it's because of the way combat works in this game and platforming that yielded some pretty fucking rad clips. Look at this one where I shoot a plane down, and then as the plane is crashing, I jump over the wing and not getting hit at all. Or when I jump off this building and stab this guy and melee kill him and finish the mission. Or when I jumped on top of this ATV, shot the guy driving the ATV, and then kept riding the ATV away. I had way more fun in this than I did Fallout 4, and it's not even close. So if you're on the fence about this game and don't like shooters as much as I don't like them, just know that you can tame a bear named Cheeseburger or a bobcat named Peaches and have them fight for you, and it's awesome. And that's why I was hyped for the Gator in Fallout 6. Regroup. Okay, well, they know where I am now. Don't wait for them to come in here. Go up. Never listens to reason. That's why I love him. He's the best partner I could ask for. I was flying off the handle. Well, got her. I wish I could tell you that Far Cry 5 took up the majority of my game time, but that's not true. It took up all my game time. At least in the basement half of 2018. Wait a minute. What do you mean, basement half? In July of 2018, my family and I had moved out of my childhood home into, well, if you're a fan, the house you have seen before. When we first got there, I was put in a very pink room and told that the basement is in terrible condition and that it was too dangerous for me to live down there. we'll see about that. So for the time being, this is the pink room era. 2018 was a pretty slow year for gaming, at least for me, but a pretty fucking rad year for games. I should mention, by the way, not just because of Far Cry, the reason I didn't play as much Xbox in the first half of 2018 is because I got a Nintendo Switch the Christmas prior. And as far as memories go of 2018 that aren't at the new house, there is one big thing that happened summer 2018, right before I moved. Hold off on that. Put a pin in it. I promise I'll come back to it on a later day. And when I say I'll come back to it, I mean, look out for another long-ass video this year. Hopefully. I shouldn't have said this year. So the majority of gaming for me in 2018 was not even playing game. It was getting hyped for Smash and also playing some games. Also, I had a job I was at for the majority of 2018, so that definitely put a dent in my game time. That being said, there were still some cool releases. The tail end of 2018 had Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out in October, Pokemon Let's Go coming out in November, and Smash Bros. Ultimate coming out in December. Red Dead 2 didn't stand a chance.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
No, I wasn't implying that Let's Go is better than Red Dead 2. I know I meant that it just took up more of my time because I'm a Pokemon fan and I just like Pokemon. People are going to take it the wrong way. I know. I wasn't arguing. You know, maybe it is a better game. Oh, now we're going to get to a different argument. Red Dead Redemption 2 was fun when I played it, but I only played it for a month, so that doesn't really mean much. But that first month of being Arthur Morgan was crazy. I can't tell if I want to do an accent or not. I can't even tell if I am doing that. I don't know where else to put this in the video, so I'll put it in here right now. There was a promotion in GTA where if you found a certain chest, you go all around the map, like in a treasure hunt, you get a special gun, and the only thing cool about it is that you get a special little animation for when he flips it around. And if you have that gun, you could also carry it over to your Red Dead save. I think a game's quality is increased exponentially by how much of a badass you feel using the game's mechanics. Like being able to chain jumps together in Mario Odyssey is not only super fun and feels super crisp, but it makes you feel very cool. I talked about Far Cry and its game mechanics. I truly believe Red Dead Redemption was carried by its lasso. The lasso is the most fun part of the game. You can tie up folks, hang them behind a moving train, wait for them to hit into shit. You could tie them up and throw them in a campfire and watch them slowly die, burning their head first. Maybe you didn't do that part. Right at the gate, right as the game starts, we're in a snowy area. This guy's trying to run away. Well, guess what? Bam! Nobody runs from Arthur. This guy's gonna run through the bottom of the barn. We better get him before he gets away. Bang! He's not getting away. His horse takes off with his body. Sneak around the corner. Guy doesn't notice me. Cartoon-ass moment. Fist fight a guy and tackle him into a pig trowel. Baller moment. Cowboys say baller. Is the rest of this video just gonna be me showing Xbox clips that I think are cool? No, but it would have been funny if I said yes. The point I'm reaching is while the game isn't super fun for a long time, those mechanics and that short form of playing it was so much fun. A new Pokemon comes out the next month and I'm completely whipped by the franchise, but it's another Kanto game. I know what to expect. I'll run through it fairly quickly. But they must have known people are going to lose interest around this time because November 7th is when Red Dead Redemption 2 Online Open Beta was open to the public. That is what that means.
Shouldn't imagine they would kill us in broad daylight, but you never know.
I had the game and my buddy Kyle had the game. You may know him, and we were very eager to play together. But we weren't dumb, okay? I had already planned the whole day Smash Ultimate came out around that day. I was like, oh, we're gonna play this all day. This is what we're gonna do for the rest of our lives, I guess. So we knew that we had a very short amount of time to play this game. Doing the math and looking at the dates, we had basically 11 days to play Red Dead Redemption 2 online and experience it to its fullest. And you know what? That we did. I think we were in the perfect point where if we played it for too long, we would have gotten bored. Where we left off, there wasn't a lot of content at launch. There was some pretty basic online stuff. Of course, it was an open beta, and I'm sure they've added stuff since. But at that time, we left at the perfect time because it was leaving us wanting more, but it's not like we were meandering. We managed to do everything and leave before it got boring. Love and loss. This hillbilly character I created is just a normal man with a long white beard that wears red, lives in the snow. He is not Santa Claus, despite what the media may tell you. His two horses, this giant, white, angelic creature, Coco. And this dinky little shit is Pegasus. Pegasus has pink hair, but you can't tell because he's constantly dirty. It is a real mess. He was born in the snowy mountains of wherever this game is set. Texas, I think. So that's where he's most at home. Actually, can you watch this clip for me real quick? I'll be right back. It'll be real quick. Alright, thanks for watching. Then Kyle got in on this, and we got in on some crazy cowboy shit. Gather around the campfire, children, as I shall regale you of stories of the countryside. Have you heard the story of the duplicating lap-sitting man and the underground horses? Of course you have. Those aren't that scary. Have you heard the legend of the Headless Horseman? The Headless Horseman wanders the land looking for a victim to trick into shooting him over and over and taking way too long to realize the hits weren't registering, and then taking even longer to realize this character doesn't have a head. Venturing through the Wild West all by your lonesome is dangerous. One day you'll just be riding along on your horse, tie this one guy up, and then decide to untie him, and he'll immediately go for your throat with a knife. That's why you need a friend around to come in and save your life with a shot. I was gonna say warning shot, but no, he killed him. That was the day, children, that Cowboy... My hair looks stupid. That was the day that Cowboy Kyle saved my life. And that's it for Red Dead, really. Robbing trains and tying people up and putting them in fires were really the majority of the fun we had there. And not nearly as fun as smashing your bros. At the end of the year, I had made up my mind and no one was gonna stop me. I packed up all my stuff and moved out of the pink room and moved into the basement. Do I really need to explain the Boyz basement? Even if you're new, it's iconic by this point. Because of Switch Online and most of my close friends were people I went to school with now, there wasn't a lot of Xbox play. Going through old saves, I think maybe the Bestest World was made by us around this time, because I remember being in the basement and we called ourselves the Bestest Boys, and then shortened it to the Boys, you know the whole story. I remember being in a giant sandcastle. I remember maybe there was a sky castle in it, but really, who can remember? If there was a sky castle, I can't imagine anyone would remember it or hold a grudge about it this many years later. I did link back up with Logan around this time, and we went back to the annual Christmas Minecraft World. We rolled around in some snow in Los Santos. There was a casino update at this time and a heist alongside it, but I don't know anyone that played it. I did play it, but it took a long time. Not that it was hard, I just like intermittently played it over a couple years, so I think I only finished it right before I moved again. By 2019, not only had I not talked to members of the group in a long time, but I had graduated, so the Boyz and the Stinky Oranges, I wasn't really gonna see anymore or talk to them as much. I could still hang out with the Boyz through the YouTube channel, that's where the whole point was, but at some point they all started moving away and doing their own things, and again, first time in a while, I was alone. The likelihood of everyone being together to play online games together were very low. Emphasis on were. I don't know if you guys know this, you may be way too young, it was 2 years ago. But early 2020, some people started to get a little bit sick. That feels like I'm negating it. I'm not. It's a real thing. I just think I'm being silly. For a year, I was preparing to be on my own and be able to make stuff by myself, and of course, in a roundabout way, that's what I'm doing now. But I had to mentally prepare to not be able to play with any of my online friends. And then, out of nowhere, luckily for me, a pandemic happened. I didn't cause it, though. All those people in the comments saying I caused the pandemic, you need more proof than those pages, all right? Double your document. I know it's already 10 pages, but I didn't start the pandemic. Not that the pandemic as a whole was a good thing, because objectively, looking at numbers, it was not. And even for us, it wasn't good. I know, always focusing on us. Why this pandemic's about us? I'm spiraling. Everyone was really bummed until one day our buddy Kyle texted a couple of the boys and said, hey, new Call of Duty Battle Royale came out. Do you want to play it?
Call of Duty Warzone.
There's a lot of overarching themes running throughout this story, and one of my favorites is that I constantly play Call of Duty games solely so I can hang out with my friends who I enjoy hanging out with, and then making them instantly regret it. I can't say I enjoyed playing Warzone because it wasn't fun, but I enjoyed playing with my friends. And I lived with Kyle since then, you know, after that, and I would occasionally walk past his desk while he's playing it and just hear some of the worst stuff, so I'm glad we got out before the community became the Call of Duty community. You know how it is. I know deep down, realistically, it was not because of me. But in the first game I joined them, they had been playing for a while, and I finally jumped in their squad, is when they got their first dub. It was the first game I was in. I know it wasn't because of me, but God, is it funny to claim that I helped them. I know it's not true, but I will hold it over them for the rest of my life. God, it's so fucking funny. A month later, for our good friend and current boy Riley's birthday, we decided to make a new Minecraft world and all play together. It was primarily a boys world, but I did bring in Logan to the server from time to time. We were all dicking around and not accomplishing much in the world, and then the first night Logan was on, when he joined the world, he went and beat the Ender Dragon by himself. None of us knew about this until the next day we talked about the end, and he's like, oh yeah, I already beat it. What do you mean you already beat it? We all worked together to make a giant sand castle that everyone could live in, and in the end, nobody lived in it. As far as the most amount of building progress goes, I know Logan already did the most actual progress. It was a tie between Riley, Logan, and me. Riley took over a village and built a self-sustaining mansion of his own, and also fixed the entire village's economy from the ground up. Logan made a floating mausoleum in the sky. I don't think it is actually a mausoleum. I just think that's a fancy word, and I don't know how else to describe a coliseum, maybe, but it's not even that. It's pillars. And I converted this village into my own with a giant-ass farm and another platform that's man-made, but it doesn't look like it. Also, tons of animals. Like, way too many. Way too many animals to name. But would you like to meet them? See a bunch of cats behind me. We got Antonio Banderas, Magical Mr. Mistopheles, Jasper, Salem, Simba, Garf, Gordon, Jasper, Percy, Waffle, Bob 1, Bob 2, Bob 3, Bob 4, Bob 5. I ran out of names, I guess. And 2 cats based on my real cats when I made them, Crispin and Oliver. Not to bum everyone out. I don't actually think this is a sad thing. I think it's actually pretty cool. But you know, my cat, Oliver, at the time, I was like, I didn't think much of it. I'm like, yeah, you know, he's my cat and I love him. I'll put him in the games, why not? So I told it on stream, I haven't told it in a video. When I first played through Pokemon Fire Red, I named Growlithe Oliver, and I was like 10 at the time, and he was still like a baby kitten. And then he grew up into an Arcanine, so now I have this Arcanine I have still transferred up through the games named Oliver. And I have this cat in this world named Oliver, and then earlier this year, Oliver passed away, and again, I don't think it's a bummer. I think it's a cool thing that he's like immortalized in these games. That being said, this is the first world we made into a realm, so it's open. So if you wanted to be really fucked up, you could go into the world and kill the Oliver cat. Not like I don't have it coming, but Coco makes another appearance. I have another horse named 1974 in archaeology because I hit random on Wikipedia and named it after whatever the first article was. I was really into naming horses abstract things around this time, and I still kind of am. I never got over that phase. So my main horse, aside from archaeology, was named Bertram from Jesse. Not just Bertram, and that's the reference. His full name was those 3 words, Bertram from Jesse. And everyone on the realm knew the horse. They would see him while I was driving by everyone, because the village I lived in was pretty far. I wanted to traverse maps. But then one night I was playing by myself, because, you know, it was my world, but it's also a realm. But I was by myself, and I guess he fell in lava or something, and I was like, oh no, the beloved horse that's a funny name is dead. So I opened up my phone and started texting Logan, and I was about to send, and I looked down at my phone at what I typed, and I typed out the words, Bertram from Jesse just died. And I realized I have just duped myself. Because if I got a text that said Bertram from Jesse just died, even if I knew there was a horse named that, I would assume, oh no, the actor's dead, because that's what Bertram from Jesse means. So we could call it the Boys Meet World because that's what it's titled on the Xbox, or we could call it the Realm World because out of all the survival worlds, this is the first one I've made into a realm, and I think it's still running, actually. Those are some recurring payments that are going to burn a hole later in my life. And because I wanted to pad out the world and also bridge the gaps a little bit, of course I had the boys and Logan, but I sent some invites over to some of the Stinky Oranges and texted them because I haven't talked to them in a while, and they're like, yeah, I'll play online. So a bunch of them have structures built in this realm too that, again, I have not found. I'd love to give you a tour of this realm, but it's bigger than any world we've ever made, and also I think it kind of diminishes some of the mystery. But reality aside from all those, we call it the village world. Much like the town world, the mountain world, and the island world, the common theme is most of the people that live in this world have taken over different villages. Also, as far as new updates go, this was a little bit after the Pillager update, so that caused a whole ruckus. There was a war. I keep mentioning longtime fans of the channel, and I know that I'm going in a completely different direction. It's just like really deep cut references. I don't even like when people watch the old videos because I'm a little embarrassed about a lot of them, but if you did watch the Minecraft creepypasta video, this is the world we read them in. So in the new pandemic era, we started playing Call of Duty Warzone and then transitioned into playing a new Minecraft world. Later in the year, we got really into Fall Guys when that came out. We got super hooked. If you know Fall Guys today, then you know it was bought out by Epic, so it could be sold on the Epic Store, because the Epic Store, I don't actually know how long it's existed, but its only thing for a while was Fortnite, and then they decided, hey, we're going to compete with Steam. We need to boost our sales a little bit. For the same reason in 2022, I don't remember how frequently it happened, but always at any time there was some free game being given away on Epic. All you had to do was make an Epic account and have the Epic Games launcher, and you can get a free game. I'm pretty sure it was like every couple weeks, which is a lot of free games. Most of them were garbage, but occasionally, on May of 2020, for about a week, GTA 5 was free to get on the Epic Store. And I told you the Ink Company would get its second wind. I just needed enough people to join. I got the PC version of the game, and the boys got the PC version of the game. And you would think I would just transfer my save over, but you can't do that anymore. There was a small period of time where you could, but the amount of hackers and cheaters on the PC version were immense. So they thought, what if we didn't let them do things? And by them, I don't mean the people hacking. I mean, you know, me. I know it will realistically never happen, but when people ask me what's something I like, oh, I could most want in gaming, I have most of the stuff I want. The one thing I could ever ask for right now is Rockstar implementing cross-platform with GTA Online. I could play Fall Guys with anyone, I could play Minecraft with anyone, but I can't play GTA with any of my friend groups because there's hackers on PC that they don't want to be enabled on console. Just prevent them from hacking. It's your game. You've done it before. You did it on console. Just do. I know it's not the same thing, but it can't be that. This is your game. You know what's insane? The reason I got this Xbox in the first place is because I didn't want my save to be stranded, so I could immediately transfer my GTA save to Series X. And now, because I transferred, I can't even play online with people on the Xbox One. GTA 5 is the thing that brought the group together, and I can't play it with any of them. I have to play with Series X gamers. Do you know how many people own a Series X? Legitimately, I'm asking because I need people to play with now. Because I was frightened that Rockstar would delete the save that I put time and money, you saw the money, into, I got startled and immediately transferred my save, and now I can't even play the game with the group. The game that brought the group together, I gotta play it by myself. Sorry, it's just so stupid. That's my pipe dream. If they port GTA 5 to the Switch, I will never need any other console. It will be my favorite one. All my favorite games will be on that little thing. And to negate the whole argument I just had, it was annoying to have to start over, but it was honestly kind of fun to start from scratch again. I did immediately save up for the Christmas Insurgent again. It was legitimately my first purchase. It's the best investment. But starting from scratch, the Ink Company became more of a cult than an actual organization where all the members had to wear black silk pajamas, blue surgical gloves, and gorilla masks. Like literal gorilla, not the one you're thinking of. Knock it off. And we gave ourselves a challenge. We were tasked to convert as many people as possible. Someone was only converted if they joined the crew and then donned the full attire. While I just complain about the immense amount of hackers on GTA on PC, and I normally prefer playing everything on console, I will say the one thing PC version has over all the console versions is the type chat. I mentioned last time that when I played with randos, I didn't ever want to get in a call or talk with people that I didn't know, but typing, and now that I'm an adult man, the most fun I had was just talking with random people and converting them to a cult that doesn't actually exist. I've always been told I'd make a really good cult leader. My proudest moment in any video game, like proudest gaming moment legitimately ever, is when we and the boys were playing in a server and we were trying to do something and there was somebody doing the orbital cannon glitch thing to bomb everyone on the server, and they were just like, oh man, let's just leave. Let's just go try and find another server. But I was like, no. Let me talk to this guy. So I started talking him down, and then I talked him away from I was like a hostage negotiator. I talked him away from the cannon. I used the power of my words to get better at a video game. And I told him, hey, you could play along with me and my friends. I convinced him that we were all nice people. And then he went over to go greet my two boys, and they killed him. Because you don't bomb Inky, okay? And survive. Yeah, we kept playing up to the Cayo Perico heist, which I have tried both on PC and on console with a bunch of different groups, and I have still, to this day, yet to finish it. I only bring it up because in the update it gives you a submarine, and most of the time playing PC around this time when the whole hostage negotiation happened, we were just fucking around with the submarine to see what it could do. If you check the Inky crew now, and I think you can because it's a public crew, you will see a bunch of people I don't know who are just randos I converted off the street. And if you want to join, you know the attire. Till next time, Inky. It'll make a comeback. And that's it. As far as non-documented stuff goes, some stuff after that was on the channel or on stream. You may have seen it, you may have not. It's not memories, though. It just happened. But as far as my story on the Xbox One goes, I've moved on. What? Where am I? Oh my god, Terraria Tree, Kyle Ren, a pumpkin seed. Stalking, Gravy Greenhood, Mr. E, Pegasus, Bertram from Jesse, Pumpkin Priest, Orangutan, Tropical, Caveman Jim, Terrork. You man, a lot of these characters are wrestling guys. What's going on here?
You are in great danger.
I thought you were dead.
I have moved on, but you, my son, are closer to death than I.
What does that mean?
It means you're running out of air.
Right. Producers are gonna take my memories away. That was the deal. What a fair deal. You give my memories back, gave me that little taste of freedom. You use my memories for content to milk me for all my memories I have, my childhood. Not just the happy memories, but the bad ones. I'm gonna get them back. Not because I'm fighting for them back, not because I'm going to war, but because you guys know when I talk about my memories, we do the best. So just know that when I get all my memories back, because it will be all of them, I'm not just going to remember my childhood or the good moments. I'm going to remember the bad ones. I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember what you did to me, and I'm going to make you regret it. Take them. I don't care anymore. Fine, just take them away. I can't tell if I don't remember things anymore because you never, like, how do you know if you can't remember things? I feel the same, though. Is that water? Where's water coming from?